All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here tonight for the start of the Joy of Driving Twin 125s. My name is Carlos Acosta, and joining me here tonight, making his 3Y TV debut, is league owner Jordan Harnish. Jordan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Carlos. Thanks for having me tonight.
Of course, I couldn't have a better person to join me tonight. The background commentator and the league owner who is backup commentating for the backup commentator. So it's fun and it's gonna be amazing tonight. And I was talking to Jordan about this. I kind of expect this, and I probably am gonna jinx this, but I kind of expect tonight to kind of be a little of a what do you call it? I would say this could be potentially 2 green flag races. Now, we know that you guys have an amazing program in that you guys will pay the first driver with 0 X's, and depending on how much money is in a bounty, a couple drivers with 0 X's, $10. The question is, if both races go green flag, is that 2 $10 payouts, or is that only going to be considered 1 $10 payout?
That's a really good question. I haven't actually thought about that. I really hope, for the driver's sake, it does go green for both races, and I'd love to pay out two bounties tonight. That'd be great. I had to talk to Sam, but I don't see why we wouldn't treat it as 2 separate races, as it's 2 separate points-paying races. So I would assume that we'd be doing 2 separate bounties if we go green tonight.
Good point. And that would honestly be a blast, especially when Sam realizes that you just agreed to possibly pay out 20 of his dollars. It's 20 of his dollars because the last time we were racing at an oval, you guys all went green flag racing. There was no need for a payout at all, as it seems that the drivers' meeting is just over, and the drivers are getting back on track. But last week we went to the beautiful Road America full course, and that one we saw Johnny Avila take over and pretty much win, dominating the whole field by over 16, almost 17 seconds. Scott Eckridge finishing second, Greg Evans in third, Will Worsler fourth, and Steve Yenish in fifth. And of course, that meant that for your current season standings, at least your top 10 in the point standings goes with Greg Evans by about 59 points over Tyler Seville, Scott Eckridge, Brian Yazik in fourth, Thomas George in fifth, Will Worsler sixth, Johnny Avila seventh, Adam Jersky in eighth, Steve Yenish in ninth, who was, I believe, he was actually tied for the third biggest mover of that week, and Michael Krobach in 10th. So biggest losers that week were Doug Mullins, who dropped 3 spots down to 18th, and the biggest winners were Drew Carroll and Mark Cohn, who went up 5 spots each into 39th and 40th respectively. But tonight is a different night. We are no longer a road course. We're back to ovals. The last time we were at an oval, we also went green flag racing. But I don't know, Jordan, what's your thoughts here tonight? Seeing these guys take on the beautiful Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, Chicago is one of those tracks that it can nip you in the butt really quickly, or you can figure it out really fast and really get a quick handle on it. Looking at the results right now, looks like newcomer Jeff Ward has really found the handle right back to the top, right where he's been previous, as well as Scott Eckridge right up there at the top as well. So looking for a good, strong battle between the two of them, and of course also Will Worsler, Drew Carroll, the normal competitors sitting up front right now.
As we move on over to the lone qualifying effort, I'm going to make sure that my qualifying thing is up and running, and it is. We're going to have a couple drivers here taking green flag to start off there. I believe this is, maybe I turn this on correctly and switching it over to time. It's a 10-minute practice session, qualifying session, but only laps count, only 2 laps count. Now, you may be a little bit more familiar with this type of racing than I am, but is this a track that you kind of feel like that second lap is going to be faster than the first, or is it going to be like some other tracks where you have to make that first one count because the second one will never be as fast?
My experience with this downforce package and these 1.5 mile tracks is you can get a lot out of it on that first lap and make the first lap your best, or you can try to baby it the first lap and try to make your second one the best. There's really a big varying strategy on how to make it work. I always found personally for me to make the second lap my best. You kind of use the first one as a throwaway. But I know guys like Scott Eckrich will use his first lap will quite honestly probably be his fastest.
Well, we already got a couple drivers here putting a couple lap times in. Eckert currently the fastest with a 30.541. Make that Carroll. Drew Carroll just put in the fastest lap time right now with a 30.36. That's actually a pretty big difference. You would be expecting a little bit tighter gains, but with only a couple drivers already putting in lap times, it's still a little bit spread out. Carroll first place, Johnny Eckert in second qualifying, Brian Yosek third, Woody Mahan in, well, fifth now as Johnny Avila has gone to the top spot here tonight. A couple more drivers out here putting in some hot laps. Let's go on board Scott Eckrich, who, well, maybe not. It looks like he may have had an issue, or he's exiting pit road, one of those two. Here we go. We have Corey Benton out on track and across the line. This would be his, I believe this is going to be his first time lapped this time by. That was his warm-up that he just finished. Let's go on board and see how Corey Benton is approaching here tonight. Corey Benton, I believe, is one of the newcomers that was added this week.
Yes, that is correct. He was added just this week.
We had a couple new drivers here tonight, new faces, and based on our ticker, a couple, two drivers that may just start confusing you as to who's who. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But here we go, going to cross start finish line Corey Benton for his first time lap, and he's going to go up to 17th with a 30.52, and 30.52 is actually at one point near the top spot. But then since then, Steve Yanish, AJ Digby, Tyler Seville, and Will Wursler have gone out and put in amazing lap times to kind of just make sure that gap kind of like gets smaller and smaller in terms of separations between a couple drivers and their lap times. Troy Haight out on track right now. Currently in 10th, he's already put in one lap time. He's going to come across and take a second lap. Currently in the backstretch though, going down into 3 and 4. And kind of not necessarily hugging that white apron, but kind of in the middle of that lower patch, as you can see. Doesn't get up all the way near the outside wall and goes straight below the apron, crossing the start-finish line. And that is actually going to improve from 11th to 10th. So that's one spot. So one of the things that a lot of the people have seen this year is the straight-up domination of Will Wursler Racing. In terms of qualifying, they have taken a majority of the pole positions, and they're traditionally kind of running near the front week in and week out, and qualifying near the front as well. Jordan, I don't know if you have anything you want to say about that. Has anybody been speaking in terms of how fast Will Wursler Racing gets during qualifying?
It's definitely been no secret. They have qualifying figured out this season, and even last season they were always up towards the front in qualifying. I know they put a lot of effort into their qualifying program. I mean, with this drafting package, it's really hard to pass. So if you can start up front, you put yourself in a really good position for the rest of the night to, quite honestly, set yourself up to win.
Now, to not be confused, these are the twin 125s. Don't confuse it like I did. These are not two 75-mile races. These are two 125-mile races. This is going to be the first one of the night. Once that race is done, we're going to go into a brief intermission. At least the drivers will be. We'll probably still be talking to a couple drivers here and there, where they'll set up the second lobby, get everybody here showing up, get themselves ready. It's going to say a 1-hour practice session, I believe, Jordan, but that's only going to be until everybody shows up, and then they're going to go on and believe, hold on, let me double check before I say anything that is completely wrong. Or Jordan, you might actually be able to tell me right now. There will not be qualifying for the second race, or will there be?
That is a really good question. I wish I actually had the answer for you. I believe they're requalifying. I believe last year when we did the twin races at Pocono, they didn't qualify, and a lot of the drivers didn't necessarily enjoy that. So I believe that they are going to requalify for the second server, but don't 100% quote me on that.
Yep, you are right. Yep, 10-minute 2-lap qualifying session before we go on and do a second 84-lap race. So, yep, sorry, it took me a little bit to figure that out. I thought I had it in my head, And I was kind of hoping that while I was talking about it, the memory would seep right back in, but like always, I draw blank. Qualifying nearly done here, 3 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. The majority of the field has put in the lap time. Actually, excuse me, I'm a bad liar, and I need to be punished. The whole field has put in a lap time. It ranges from 30.30, which is for the lead right now, all the way down to a 30.60. So that is 0.3 of a second. That is some pretty tight competition. I know usually when I run races in leagues and everything, I always somehow find myself to be 0.4 of a second behind the race leader, specifically on ovals, I should say. On roads, I'm like more than a second behind, but traditionally, I'm always like 0.4 of a second behind the race leader. So if I was qualifying out here tonight, I would be dead last, Jordan. And you don't want to start last in a short race like this.
No, definitely not. You dig yourself a hole really quickly. It's hard to get up to the front from the back, and especially with the field being this tight, one small error could ruin your night very, very, very quickly.
Well said. And while we only have actually one driver out on track right now, and that's Adam Jersky. He's just out there running for fun. So we actually have a chance to talk to some league royalty, and that is Jordan Harnish, the co-commentator tonight. Jordan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then maybe we'll talk about, the Sim Racers Club and, what the league means to you.
I've been on iRacing myself, racing for, I would say, 10, 12 years now. Been on for quite a while. Got into league racing when it first came out. Have thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. Fairly successful. Maybe not in the Cup Series, but some of the lower series definitely have some good success. And now moving into an ownership role. One presented itself here recently. I've jumped out of the driver's seat and now working hand in hand with Sam to try to build a solid league here.
That's well said, and of course, Sam, the Sam that he's speaking about is none other than Sam Maxwell, who's also been around for a long time. He's made a really good name for himself. Whenever anybody mentions the name Sam Maxwell or even just Maxwell, that name just oozes quality and perfection, and that man is amazing, and I'm glad to have got to know him in my life. But so it's amazing to see the Sim Racers Club kind of slowly grow up and become not really become, but slowly kind of like plant their foot as to where and how they want to be, and seeing just some of the drivers also participating and helping out. Like, for example, the fancy new logo we have this week, you guys finally have a brand image, and that was submitted by a fellow racer. Why don't you talk about that?
The name speaks for itself, the Sim Racers Club. We want to be for the drivers. We don't want to make this about me and Sam, because that's not what this is about at all. We want to be behind the image. We want the drivers to be at the forefront of the image, which is why we came up with the Sim Racers Club. We want the drivers to have an active role in decision making, and letting them build the logo was just the first step. I know there was many submissions made, and the drivers chose it themselves as which one they wanted to represent themselves.
Well said, as we got only 10 seconds left before qualifying wraps up, and of course no changes since the last time we spoke about that. We're going to have ourselves a nice fun 84-lap race, then a little break, and then back to another 84-lap race. So it is going to be a blast, and as the session is transitioning over to the race, we're going to go ahead and go on over through our qualifying results. You know what that means? We got to play some of that fancy qualifying music that I spent $0 on and have played ever since the start of 3YTV. Yeah, there it is. All right, let's get that qualifying graphic up and running here tonight. Guess what? Will Wursler Racing did not put in a fastest lap tonight. As a matter of fact, it's going to be Steve Yenish from Yenish Brothers Racing. AJ Digby qualified in second for Will Wursler Racing. He's on the front board, so Will Wursler Racing did not get the pole, but they are in the front row. Tyler Savelle in third. Another Will Wursler driver. We got Jeff Ward, newcomer to the league. Will Wursler himself. I wonder what team he's driving for. Scott Eckrich qualifying in sixth. Adam Jersky in seventh. Johnny Avila in eighth. Drew Carroll in ninth. And Michael Krobach from Loud Pedal Motorsports will be starting off tonight's race in 10th place.
Starting in 11th is going to be the 84 of Woody Mahan. Beside him is going to be the 28 of Troy Haight. Alan Young in the 24 and Thomas George bring up the next row. Grant Brown in the number 15, new number for him recently. And the 55 of Brian Yozik for Loud Pedal Motorsports as well. Gordon Digby, another newcomer to the league, starting in 17th. Kevin Stone in the 17th will be car number 17 will be starting 18th. Mark Kahn, the sponsor of tonight's race, will be starting 19th, and Corey Benton, another newcomer, starting 20th.
In 21st, we have John Eckert. The hold on, it's the stick and then the V. That means it's 4. John Eckert the 4th. Todd Kirkwood qualifying in 22nd. Tim Knott 23rd. Mark Myers 24th. 25th is going to be Greg Evans. A little odd seeing him qualifying that far back. And Richard Fletcher from Will Worcester Racing will be rounding out the 26 car field here tonight for the first race of the Joy of Driving Twin 150. 125, so it's the second time, Jordan.
Don't worry, I bet it'll get me at some point too.
I don't know why I just keep on thinking it's like Twin 150s. It's just throwing me off, but that's just a small blunder of many that's gonna come. And of course, every single time that happens, we are always reminded of who the sponsor of tonight's race is, and that's the Joy of Driving. Joy of Driving used to formerly be known by the name of. You know what? That doesn't matter. And I totally didn't forget what it was, but it's called the Joy of Driving now, and you should check out that YouTube channel because they post amazing content.
As we're rolling around under the pace flap here, I was starting to get a little bit nervous as we didn't see Greg Evans post a practice time or even a qualifying time, and he snuck in right at the last second to pick up the back of the field as the pace car ducks off.
Pace car ducks off, and green flags coming out here very, very soon. As a matter of fact, there goes Barney waving that green flag. I almost said checker flag there. The race is not over, but the green flag has begun. And number 23, that whole inside line actually is already getting off to a really good start here tonight, as that outside line is looks like to be falling asleep behind the wheel here to start tonight's race.
Down into turn 3 they go. They start to fan out. The outside line still dropping anchors. 23 of Steve Yenish leads them out of turn 4 across the start-finish line to complete lap number 1.
Number 23 of Steve Yenish, no problem there. That whole top 3 drivers of the inside line, Yenish, Seville, and Worstler, are able to clear off and get single file and kind of just racing behind, kind of drafting around, as Drew Carroll now clears himself to be the 4th driver single file. However, Adam Jersky in 5th, Scott Eckridge, AJ Digby, Johnny Avila, and all those drivers behind are either 2 wide or in some cases maybe almost going 3 wide there, as it seemed like AJ Digby, who did not get himself a good start to the race, started on the outside pole, is now finding himself out in 7th. As it's not a good start to the 14, but we know that number 14 of AJ Digby is a driver who can be there at the end. He's been known to kind of maybe almost a little bit drop to the back, but he's consistent and he may show what he's capable of. That being said, Tyler Seville, hot shot of the season so far. He's got one fast hot rod week in and week out, and he's showing it right now, holding off his team owner Will Worcester from Will Worcester Racing. Well, Will Worcester Racing is not actually owned by Will Worcester. It's owned by, well, you know what? It's owned by Nicky, but we just play along to make him feel better. Will Worcester currently in 3rd. Drew Carroll, who got himself single file for a little bit, is now maybe possibly finding some competition as those drivers go 3 wide on the backstretch. Going down into turn number 3 here on lap number 4 is the number 63 of Johnny Avila. Is able to fight on the bottom and hold on and maybe get a 2-for-1 there in the corner, as he's now single file as the 69 and the number 70 are battling it off.
I was wondering if we were going to see some single file racing to start this off, or if we were going to see some of these guys start to march to the front as quickly as possible. And it looks like they're going to start marching to the front as the number 29 and 27 battle side by side going into turn number 3.
Yep, it seems like that grace period of calmness has ended, as Drew Carroll has decided that he doesn't want to be running second fiddle or I guess technically fourth fiddle in this single file run, as he's trying to get to the inside of Will Wurzler, but the 63 of Johnny Avila, somebody sponsor that car, is doing a wonderful job of getting right up to the back bumper of the 29 of Will Wurzler and pushing him forward, clearing him of the number 27, Drew Carroll, as Drew Carroll is now dropping back just a little bit, and that's kind of what this new package does there, Jordan. It kind of promotes a sort of racing where you have to like maintain consistency and, more importantly, momentum. You get yourself out of line, you're not going to lose one spot. You're going to lose a bunch of spot and a bunch of time that you're possibly making up. It's one of those things, Jordan, where it's you have to work hard to kind of put yourself in the position you're in, but the moment you make one mistake, you are further back than where you possibly started.
Yeah, absolutely. Aero's the name of the game. You don't want to lose that nose. As soon as you lose that nose, like you said, you're losing 5 or 6 spots, and it can be very frustrating. You can work 10 laps to try to pass somebody and lose it all in one corner and then some, and it just really frustrating when that happens.
Well said. Looking back up front, Steve Yanish has led all of the laps here tonight. Of course, it's only been 8 laps, or 7 laps, I should say. But he hasn't actually seen that much of a threat from anybody. Usually, hold on, we got a driver that has possibly gone in the grass. That's the number 12 of Digby, not AJ, Gordon Digby. As a matter of fact, Gordon Digby, unless my intel is incorrect, is actually AJ Digby's father, and unfortunately, he's got some issues going on. And I'll let Jordan kind of talk around for a little bit while I try to go ahead and pull up a replay.
As we pull on the battle, the number 11 of Tyler Seville following along with the number 23 of Steve Yanish. No challenge so far. I think Tyler's just riding, trying to save his stuff, maybe for a late race run or just to see what he has right now. But don't look now in third place. Looks like it's number 63 of Johnny Avila has got by the number 29 of Will Wurzler.
And here's the replay I was going to talk to you guys about. See what happened. I think the 12 of Digby, not AJ, Gordon Digby, hit the outside wall. And sometimes what happens is iRacing will kind of glue you to. Oh my goodness. That was
hazard style.
Yeah, that was almost a perfect 10. I'm sure the Russian judge is going to give Gordon Digby a 6 on that landing, but still, he hit the outside wall, and then the iRacing just spin him down into the inside wall. And I do think that these cars do actually take undercarriage damage, so we do see some physical right side damage. I'm sure he's also suffering from undercarriage damage.
Definitely not the way he wanted to make his debut, but we are definitely glad to have him as well as we try to grow the series a little bit further.
Yep, and sorry, something I was trying to say, as we got a gaggle of cars over here. Something I was trying to say before, before we saw Digby's father, Gordon Digby, kind of have a little accident out on the track, is that usually when you know these type of racing, you usually see a bunch of passing. Everybody's grouped up together, and of course you're kind of seeing that there in the top right picture that we have. But it's usually rare to see one driver just kind of hold on and everybody's kind of like just slowly drafting behind them. I don't know, Jordan, if you have maybe any theories as to why everybody's kind of calm right now, especially in the front, or not, because usually I'm just seeing people passing for the lead, then getting passed, and then passing back. I don't know, Jordan. What's in your mind of this?
Well, right now, I think Tyler, knowing how he runs, is just stalking his prey right now, learning what line Steve's running, trying to figure out what his car's got, and try to get by him. He doesn't want to make a move too early. But the gaggle of cars you see up in the upper right-hand corner, I really think they're just trying to follow the cheesecake, hoping to get one at the end of the night.
Speaking of cheesecake, I want one right now, but Greg Rentz has stole all the cheesecake, and he's honestly working right now. He's working on finishing that cheesecake all by himself, that greedy little person. Oh, man, what I will do for some cheesecake right now. Jordan, what's your favorite cheesecake?
Man, I got to go with the classic New York cheesecake with a little bit of strawberry on top of it. I'm simple.
Ain't no complaint about that. I kind of like a little bit of that, like peanut butter cheesecake with maybe a little bit of chocolate. That's always gets me nice and hungry for some more cheesecake. But no problem with plain cheesecake. That's also amazing as well. Looking back out on the track right now, it seems like the whole front five, the top five is kind of checking away, although Johnny Avila is kind of wearing out that back bumper of Scott Eckrich. Nothing too concerning, though. That whole battle, where all the drivers are kind of mixed up, muddled up, and shooken up around, is right here in the back, near where Adam Jersky is, from 6th and back, as they're all kind of staying together, but it's also kind of calming out for a bit. We're not seeing too many drivers go too wide until we get to where we see Alan Young, I believe. Yeah, it's Alan Young there on the inside line, battling against Troy Haight. And Alan Young in particular, we saw him have a good season making the playoffs last season. Unfortunately, this season, it's just been not really mistakes on his end, but he's just been involved in a bunch of issues that aren't necessarily his fault, and he's kind of faltered back down in the standings and generally hasn't been having the best of times, just usually getting involved in other people's business. But so it's always nice to see Alan Young trying to work his way up around and have a good race. We saw him have a decent one last week, and this week we're hoping that he can pull off another good finish. Alan Young, also known for starting near the back and then getting there in the end. So we've seen him kind of like running where he is now, but then towards the end of the race, he's like 9th, 8th, 7th, even in the top 5 in some cases. That man has strategy and he's capable of pulling it off. We have Nicky Worsler saying that Nicky Worsler has said, I like regular also, especially with a creamy, cheesy taste. A cream cheese taste. I apologize. I'm a little bit blind. I have keratoconus and it makes it difficult for me to see things. But yeah, Jordan currently, top 3 has spread out. They've gone separate from the rest of the pack, but the rest of the pack is also single file out as we're getting into lap number 19 of 84.
I was wondering how long it would take for Scott Eckrich to mire himself out of his 6th place qualifying spot. I say mire, that's pretty far back for him from where he tends to decide to park the thing, and now he's on the back bumper of the 11, getting ready to make a move on Tyler. And one thing with Scott I've learned is he is not patient. He will make the move when he's ready, and he's not going to wait.
That's Tyler, we've seen him win a couple races this season, but not only that, we've seen him play the long con. So yeah, he'll go for it, but I think right now he's content just following. 20 laps into this 84 lap race, we did get some secret intel. All right, the secret intel we received, as we see Tyler Seville getting passed there or being challenged by Scott Eckrich there. The secret intel we got is that these drivers can possibly go about 54 to 56 laps on fuel, at least during the daytime. Now, I'm no mathematician. I don't think you can make it the rest of the way on 56 laps of fuel. I just don't think you can. However, with that information, I do think that I would expect to see these drivers kind of split this race up in 2. Go down pit road on around lap 42 and then make it the rest of the way. Sure, they can go longer, but I don't know. Personally, for me, I think that I would just split this race and have it. Oh no, 24! Has gone sideways and is electing, caution's out. He's electing to not go down pit road. Not sure what happened, but Sam Maxwell, you can close that checkbook because we're not going to be needing it for the first race. And, oh no, the caution wasn't for him. The 45 was involved in something. What's going on?
There was a few things going on there. I know at one point I saw the 27 was facing the infield and he got it straightened out. And I think that just set off a train reaction as they went down the backstretch. And Alan Young and the 45 seem to have gotten the short end of the stick here.
Well, let's go ahead and switch on over to the replay and see what we could see. So this is going to be what the yellow flag was for, which I believe was for the 45. The 2 of Greg Evans. Oh my goodness. That's your points leader. That is your points leader, right? Yeah, that's the points leader. Yeah, Greg Evans, your points leader. Heavy damage, 45. Even heavier damage. So I think I know who the 24 Greg Evans, Alan Young hit. We saw him barely making contact with a driver, and that driver was the number 2 of Greg Evans, who tried to recover, unfortunately was unable to do so, came back across the track and smack dab right in front of the 45, and resulting in actually surprisingly not that much damage for the 2, although he kind of might be crabbing. Yeah, he's crabbing there. But the 45 heavy damage as well. I'm going to go ahead as while these guys are going down pit road, try to pull up a replay where we see Alan Young and kind of what that situation happened there. We saw him make some contact. Let's back that up here a little bit and see just what's going on. You know, why he got loose. Oh, was that possibly netcode? I don't know. Let's get a bird's eye view and kind of possibly what it could be. Jordan, where do you think it is?
Well, big bobble there. It looks like the 15 of Grant Brown got a little loose going into turn 3, and there was definitely some contact made there with the 24 of Alan Young, and as Alan spun, was trying to regain control of his car. He clipped the 2 of Greg Evans, and just a multi-chain reaction. Hard hit for the 45 of John Eckhart after the fact.
Indeed, and I think that even if there was a netcode, there probably would have been contact. However, that's not our call to make, and that's actually a call for you and the drivers committee to kind of figure out, you know, who's at fault there. So that's no need for us to speculate here. We just saw what we saw in the replay, and we get to move on. Unfortunate damage for Greg Evans and John Eckert, the 4th, as well, right now they're both stuck in pit road, as well as number 41 of Tim Knott. Is there any damage that you can see from the 41? I'm not sure why he would be down in pit road.
I believe he missed his pit stall. I saw him roll
that
through
would explain it.
The first time, and off down he goes right now. And you mentioned speculating the possible cause of that caution. The race control has spoken, in the number 15 of Grant Brown is the cause of that caution. The driver going to the rear for causing the caution. So the contact we saw in turn 3, race control does believe that that was the initial cause of the caution.
And we do see Grant Brown himself kind of dropping to the back right now, currently in 23rd. The only positions behind him are the drivers that were involved, as well as Mark Myers from the number 04. He's actually, he is 2 laps down, I want to say. Not sure why, but he is 2 laps down.
Looks like he had to take that behind the wall for a couple laps. Might have had a connection issue.
It's a real shame, but it's always... It's very hard for you to have to willingly go and drive it down pit road because of something that's almost kind of out of your control. But knowing that he did that, if that was indeed the case as to why he went down pit road and kind of like stood there, that's always something that takes a lot of guts and kind of like shows who you are as a person. Because there's been many drivers that I've seen and had to personally remove from races because they would refuse to pull off the racetrack.
Yeah, Mark is definitely a stand-up guy when it comes to doing what he feels best is for the league and the drivers around him. He has no problems just getting out of the way when a connection issue arises.
Well, let's go on over and turn it over to what you guys are saying here tonight. We have, by the way, we are 1 to go. We're gonna be going green this time. We have a Juggin RX7 saying plain cheesecake for me, and we also have Patrick Connor saying, I think white chocolate raspberry is the best beef Jersey's cheesecake. Haven't tried that myself, but hey, Jersey, feel free to send me a sampler, and I'll let you know what the best cheesecake is. Pace car is off, and we're going green flag racing here for the first restart of the night.
Once again, a big jump from the 23 of Steve Yenish as they roll down to turn number 1. Tyler Seville getting the inside line, rolling on the inside of Scott Eckrich in the number 70.
A little interesting to see the inside line did not necessarily get as good of a restart as they got for the initial start of the race. We saw pretty much the top 3 already get cleared by the time they went down in 1 and 2. Right now, only the top 2 drivers on the inside line are clear. That is being Steve Yenish and Tyler Seville, and Johnny Avila hasn't been able to clear himself from Scott Eckrich on the outside. So 2 wide they go as the top 2 drivers are clear. and single file, but behind them it's double file city here. But the first driver that I'm not even seeing double file would probably be Jeff Ward, newcomer to the league there, and I'm sure he'll be happy he's not challenging anybody for any position. Well, oh, never mind. He just called me a liar. He just drived in there on the outside line and tried to get past the number 88 of Thomas George.
New tires, big moves. Don't look now. The 11 takes to the bottom of the number 23 going into turn 1, trying to take the lead over, trying to get clear as they come off of turn number 2, and he will. Tyler Seville, new leader off of turn number 2.
Oh, not going to block it. He was almost clear, but decided it's still early. Not going to try to cause any issues as Scott Eckerish is deciding to push over that Toyota driver to hold on firmly to that lead. Whatever Tyler Seville felt or saw there on that restart, he took it, because it was not the same results that we had from the last restart or the last start of the race. This time by, he saw an opening, went for it, and got a little help, because that was a little close. He thought about shutting the door in front of Steve Yenish, decided not to, got too wide, but then the 70 decided to reward his patience by pushing him down the backstretch. But now he's being challenged again. Tyler Seville is, as Steve Yenish is trying to get by him on the inside. So side by side they go. Going to cross the line pretty much soon, as I lose a little bit of my feet there for a second. Hopefully that's not going to come back to bite me, as I believe that time by, Steve Yenish may have led that lap. So Nicky Werser, hopefully you're looking out here for the best, because you got yourself a battle for the lead here going on. One of your drivers, number 63 of Johnny Avila, doesn't know which lane to take, kind of electing towards the middle. And do I spot some right side damage? I think that number 63 may have smacked the wall there a little bit.
Definitely looks like a crinkle on the right front, but doesn't appear to have slowed him down too much. One thing I figured what was going to happen off this restart, these guys know that cautions are few and far between in this series, and they are making everything they can out of this restart.
Few and far, for sure. The last two races have gone caution-free, so I'm going to switch it over to my secondary feet there for a little bit. Of course, last time we were racing was a Road America. You're not going to get any cautions there, but the race before that was an oval. We went caution-free there, and it's actually been a couple of races you guys have gone caution-free this season. So, you know what? Kudos to you guys. It is very hard for drivers to go caution-free, and even harder for them to go caution-free for multiple races in a season. So, what a fantastic job. Whatever you guys are doing is working for the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Promoting clean racing. I think we're one of the few leagues that even pay for clean races throughout the entire season, and it shows that the drivers are taking this serious, and they want to take home $10 any chance they get. And who wouldn't? I mean, $10, free $10 for running a race green to checkered is easy money.
Oh, that's $10 for the first driver who finished with 0 X's, and then additional $10 depending on the bounty is, oh no! 27, Drew Carroll goes around, collects another driver. I'm not sure who that was. Might be Corey Benton. Not sure, but number 27, from what I saw in the quick glance, may have gotten some help.
That definitely was an abrupt right going down the backstretch. We'll have to look at the replay to see who might have got involved with that one.
Gonna pull it up right now, and let's take a look and see what possibly happened. That's the number 37 of Drew Carroll. Oh, sorry, Corey Benton. He may have been the other driver involved. Let's go full screen here. Oh yeah, there goes that hood. You're never gonna see it again. Not sure why it shows that driver when I specifically asked for Drew Carroll, but let's go ahead and take a look at what happened with Drew Carroll there. Battling against Jersky is, oh no! There was some slight contact made. Not sure if it was some aggressive blocking or netcode or something else, but contact was made, and Adam Jersky did not get away with that one scot-free, as I think he's missing a front bumper. Let's go ahead and see if we can get it from another point of view. Here's the blimp cam. Oh, I want to go a little bit backwards. Wow. Oh my goodness, how close was that for the number 84 of Woody Mahan? That was pretty close indeed. And let's see. Okay, here's a good point of view. 27. I'm not in a position to make any guesses here, but it just seems like possibly the 69 his vehicle got a little upset with the block there, and unfortunately contact was made. Jordan, what do you make out of that?
Well, race control has already made their decision, and the 27 is going to go to the rear for the caution. It looks like race control believes the 27 moved up on the 69, which is what caused the 69 to bounce off the wall, and then subsequently around goes the 27 and the 69. Hopefully not a whole lot of damage to both vehicles. I know the 27's missing the front bumper, the 37's missing the hood, and it looked like the 69 might have had a little bit of the front end damage. Hopefully they all can continue.
Yes, indeed. And race control, very, very quick and efficient here tonight, handling out in race penalties. Now, one thing that we haven't really discussed is kind of what happens when, accidents occurs. As hello, Derek Caster, how are you doing tonight? You guys have a system for kind of penalizing drivers. I don't know if you guys want to go through that, and we're talking about outside the race.
Yeah, we have what we call a strike system. Every caution you cause, you earn a strike if there's contact with another driver. So in this situation, the 27 of Drew Carroll will be issued a strike at the end of the event. That will carry on for approximately 4 weeks or until you have a caution credit clear it. And what these strikes do is after you receive 2 in a 4-race span, you'll get sit down for a week. So it's basically a way of keeping the drivers in check. We don't want constant cautions, obviously, and we definitely don't want drivers causing cautions multiple weeks in a row. If you were driving a real-life car and you wrecked every week, you'd be out of your ride, and it's the same thing here.
Now, some would call that a little bit harsh, but the results kind of speak for themselves. You guys have multiple weeks with very, very low and in most cases, in some cases, no cautions at all. And all the people that have complained about it, at least from what I can see, those complaints have gotten down to a minimum. Especially when I first started broadcasting, for you guys, I would kind of be seeing you guys get some heat for having the strike system in place. But at first it wasn't perfect. A little modifications in terms of what the length and some of the severity and everything. But I think right now you guys have a perfect balance, and the complaints that I see are not even about the strikes themselves. So once again, kudos to you guys on that. As I had something I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, so you briefly mentioned it, Jordan. You mentioned that there was a way to clear your strikes. How do you clear a strike?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that because I actually just jumped on to read it myself to remind myself exactly how you do it. Clean races, 0 incidents. You incur 0 incident races for 4 weeks in a row. You will clear your strike. And if the cautions per race is below 15%, that will also clear out a strike as long as you have a 0 incident race. And right now, the 4-week average is at 3.5%, and the year-to-date percent is 11.9. So strikes clear very, very quickly when it's below 15% like this.
And perfect timing because pace car is off. Second reset of the night. Green flag is out. Barney's waving that green flag. Number 23 of Steve Yenish. Gonna have no problem crossing the start-finish line and leaving those 2 drivers there currently right now battling for second side by side going down into 1 and 2. So initial start of the race, we saw 3 drivers on the inside line get cleared. First restart of the race, we saw 3 drivers get cleared, or 2 drivers get cleared on the inside line, and on this restart, only the leader got cleared. So I wonder what's going to happen for the next restart, should there be one. Of course, we're about to get into lap number 40 of 84. All the drivers who have gone down Pier Road, well, they're all good to go for the rest of the race in terms of fuel. But Jordan, if there's a late caution, like let's say there's a caution in about 10 laps, or even 15 laps, do you want to pit for tires?
Well, you say that. I just looked, and it looks like the 11 of Tyler Seville had that idea of this last caution as he made a pit stop. He has restarted in the 13th position, and that might be the move of the race. If there's no cautions here, he's got the freshest tires. He might have the advantage on the entire field to try to march up through. But if there's a caution in the next 10 or so laps, I'm going down for tires because it's going to be the move of the race.
And that is also going to answer the question that Nikki Worsler had out on chat, who actually I was about to answer had you not spoken about that. Yeah, Nikki asked what happened to the 11 who was running up front and is now currently down in 14th. And, well, you just got it right there. He went down pit road. A little bit of a strange strategy. Saw nobody going down pit road. We had 2 cautions, and honestly, the way it's going, I kind of expected it to be a very, very low or even caution-free night. So this could be a winning race as Steve Yanish, Scott Eckrich, and Johnny Avila, as well as Jeff Ward, are kind of battling it out in that top 4, top 5 being of Thomas George in the 88. All those guys are kind of all single file, and even further back single file as far as the eye can see, all the way up to now 8th with AJ Digby. Mark Cohn from the Joy of Driving is no 51 goes around Mark Cohn himself. I had to open my fat mouth, and oh man, he may be okay, but he's gonna lose a ton of spots. Mark Cohn and Tim Knott, as I'm going to go ahead and try to pull up a replay here. Unfortunate, as these guys have gone around, caution flag came out, and let's take a look at that replay and see what we see. We were just talking about them, as it looks like 41 got a little tight on the exit of the corner. Either that or the 51 did not move up as Tim Knott expected. And both drivers go around. I think the 41 got the worst end of that deal. I think he got the most damage out of that. I think the 51 may just be okay, but it's a lot of spots he's lost.
Definitely a lot of spots he's lost. Front end damage is definitely worse than rear end damage in this car. And it looks like Tim Knott is going to be going to the rear for the contact, as he definitely slid up coming off at turn number 4. Doesn't look like too much nose damage on the 51 car, so he might be all right, but the 41 is definitely going to need to get that nose damage fixed if he wants to be a contender still for the rest of this race.
51 did get some front end damage there, so I'll pull it up again because this is a perfect view. You'll see 51 got some slight front end damage. It did get caved in, so he will have to repair that. But as the 41 hits him, so I'm going to slow it down here a little bit right there. That's all fine for the 51. Quarter panel damage, side damage, but right there, the 41 makes contact with the front bumper of the 51 on that left side, and you see it's a little crinkled in, so that is going to be some damage, and that could be bad. But if he's able to stay with the draft and maybe get that repaired, and hopefully doesn't have any radiator damage, he should be good to go. Now, has Race Control dropped down a penalty on that one?
Race Control did drop the penalty on the number 41 of Tim Knott for that caution.
So unfortunate there for both of those drivers, is that's just a situation where one driver gets a little bit unexpectedly tight and doesn't have the room to correct it because they're going side by side. It's a racing type of incident, and unfortunately it happens, but this is only race number 1 of race number 2. Now, I know some people are probably thinking about it. They haven't asked, but I'm sure they're thinking about it. These are 2 officially sanctioned races, or are these one race in which the first race will lead, kind of determine the position for the second one?
These are 2 separate races. They are 2 separate points-paying races. It's just like we're running 2 weeks in one night, basically, at the same exact track. So it is 2 separate races. So if you have a bad race here, you can hit the reset button, and away we go for race number 2, fresh car, and get basically another chance at it.
Well said. And while we got a little bit of time, let's go see if we can get a quick word with your current race leader, Steve Yanish. Steve, you got a copy?
Hey, yeah, I got you.
Hey, Steve. So far, 45 laps into this 84-lap race, this race number 1 of the night, you have been pretty much leading the majority of the race. How's that car feeling for you?
Tight. Yeah, setup's pretty tight, so I'm just trying to hold on to the clean air as long as I can. I know I got Scott breathing on my neck here, and he might get me eventually, but I'm going to try to hold on as long as I can.
Well, we saw on that first run, nobody could even get close to you. On the first restart of the night, we did see the 11 at Titusville kind of go past you, and you guys were battling for a position. But do you think that was just a case where he got a lucky run, or has everybody kind of been just settling in, hoping not to have any issues there, and just electing to kind of stay where they are?
I got loose in 3 and 4, and that's kind of what let him get that run on me. And then I was fighting as hard as I could, try to get back in front of him. But after 5 laps or so, the low line is just a little tough. You get a little bogged down there. So, yeah, I think if I had fought him another lap or two, maybe I could have gotten it if that been in front when the caution came out. But he got in front. But lucky to be back in first.
All right, thank you so much. You got another restart here coming up, and wish you good luck.
All right, thanks.
So that's your current race leader, Steve Yanish. As Jordan, I'm going to let you handle this this third restart of the night here.
All right, let's see if Steve can get another rocket ship of a start like he has the last few restarts, or if the number 70 of Scott Eckridge can hold on with him as they roll out of turn number 4 here. Waiting for the pace car to duck down and for Barney to wave the green flag. He's probably my favorite character that iRacing has ever come up with. Pace car's down, looking for that green flag from Barney. Green flag is out, and away we go. The 23, not as good of a start as he's got in the last few, as the number 70 tucks in behind him going into turn number 1.
No problem there for these top 2 drivers. As well, for the second time tonight, only one driver was able to clear themselves from the field, and that was the 23 of Steve Yanish. Scott Eckridge, who started on the first place on the outside line, got right up behind as soon as he crossed the line to Steve Yanish, and is not kind of just following him behind, but he got himself a run there on the middle on the exit of the turn number 3 and 4, and is now battling side by side. He's going to lead that first lap of the night for himself. Scott Eckridge to the point, clears number 23, leaves the inside just a little bit open, but is able to get himself lined up for a perfect arc on the exit of the corner. 23 gets a little wide. I think got a little tight there, as that's going to put the number 70 firmly into the lead.
As Steve said in his interview, the clean air is king. Tight out of the corner is what everyone's fighting tonight. And you could see it right there off of turn number 2. As soon as he got that dirty air on the nose, it wanted to wash straight to the wall.
That's something that some of these drivers have been working on since the new package has arrived in iRacing, kind of putting themselves in a way where you can affect the handling of the driver behind you by kind of just changing your line a little bit. If they try to get by you on the outside, just drift up a little bit. They're going to have to drift up higher, and by the time they know it, they're going to be right up against the wall with some heavy right side damage. A single file for the first, I would say almost 10 drivers, as AJ Digby's clear single file all the way up to, 3 wide there across the start-finish line for 11th, as we saw Mahan, Tyler Seville, and Alan Young kind of battling for position. Good recovery for some of these drivers. Now, I did want to get a quick word with you, Jordan. We noted Tyler Seville going down pit road on the last caution. I don't think enough laps went by where his strategy is no longer good. I think they were able to go a couple laps before the caution came out. It did hurt his strategy a little bit, but I do think that if no caution comes out, he's still going to be golden. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, he definitely still has the best strategy going right now. He has the freshest tires out of the group, and even with 5 or 6 laps on him that he has, it's not going to make that big of a difference. 3 sets of tires is what these guys have for this race tonight. So I believe Tyler still has 1 more set sitting in the pit while everyone else has 2. So if a late caution comes out, he has a choice to make, whether he wants to try to see if he can hold off with a little bit older tires, or if he wants to go down with them and be even on if a caution comes out again.
Yep, and I think at this point, I don't think anybody, including Tyler's, going to have an issue with tires, because if there's a caution now, I think they'll come down pit road, but if there's a caution a little bit later, I just don't think that this track has enough of a tire wear for it to really matter. Right now, in the long run, that strategy is probably going to be doing him wonders. I'm not quite sure if he can get to the lead, but he's going to for sure try it. But I don't know. We saw him there. It took him a couple laps to get past a couple of drivers. That was before the caution came out. So I don't think anybody who is at least aware of this strategy is going to go for it with 5 laps remaining or possibly a green-white checker. So I think everybody's going to be good. But speaking of good, Leaf newcomer Jeff Ward has been battling up now into second, as he's now right behind the number 70, Scott Eckridge. And Scott Eckridge is trying to get himself another win here this season, but Jeff Ward is here to show everybody he's not going to be lying around here. He wants to take the lead from the veteran and possibly win tonight's race number 1.
Jeff is no newcomer either. He has been around for quite a while. He's taken a few seasons off, but he's coming back and he's showing that he has not lost a step here.
Well, egg on my face because I thought he was a newcomer. So turns out I was wrong. But either way, back from his hiatus or sabbatical or whatever you want to call it, or his little break. But he's showing that he wants to get back and win here tonight's race, and he has the speed to do so right now, as he's currently right behind your race leader, number 70 of Scott Eckrich. Meanwhile, in the back of the field, we see Johnny Avila all the way nearly up high, trying to get that momentum to work for him as he's trying to get past the number 23 of Steve Yenish. That Steve Yenish was leading. He's actually been leading the majority of this race. He's now dropped down into 4th, possibly 5th, as Avila can do anything right in that Kyle Larson line of approval. But, wow. What a, not really a fall from grace from the 23, but getting into that dirty air was really not the best thing for his car.
No, it was not. And as I watch this battle, I kind of have to ask myself, like I usually do, where did he come from? The 55 of Brian Yozik started 16th all the way up to P3 right now.
So far, the biggest mover of the night. That is for sure. Brian Yozik from Loud Pedal Motorsports up to a beautiful podium position right now on lap 57 of 84 as we're getting close to finishing this race number 1 here out on track. Taking a look quickly at our world famous Tyler Seville watch. What happened? Tyler Seville's dropped a couple spots. He was running 10th, now he's down to 13th. I think maybe his strategy may not be working out here too much, as he's actually just gonna pass Marcone, who does have fresher tires than the rest of the field because he was involved in that incident, and it looks like they may have fixed whatever front end damage he had. So right now, Marcone is probably in the best strategy, but I think that I think it's possible Tyler Seville may have just worn out his tires trying to get up to the front.
That dirty air can do that. It's a bold strategy to try to play off to being the only driver to pit in the middle of a run. I'm starting to wonder if Tyler maybe might have damage that we didn't catch somewhere, because it just does not seem like he has any momentum to try to move forward at all.
Not really seeing anything. So you see the 51 there got a little loose on the exit of the corner. You see that rear end damage that we saw from that contact earlier. And it looks like it's not really hindering him too much, or if it is, those fresh tires are equaling that damage that he has. I cannot think of what word it was, and if it ever comes to my head, I'll just keep it quiet because the time would have gone past. But either way, good battle here. This is a battle for 10th place, actually. Kevin Stone in the number 10, battling Woody Mahan, Marcone, and Tyler Seville. Michael Krobach is also there, just a little bit further back, and so is Troy Haight. But up front, hasn't changed much. It's still Scott Eckrich, Jeff Ward, Steve Yenish. But there's a battle now between Brian Yozik. Oh, pardon me, actually, Steve Yenish has gone back to 3rd. Wow. Brian Yozik dropped down into 4th, battling against Johnny Avila, who's been running that outside line and still does. And number 88 of Thomas George is currently in 6th right now. I'm not sure what happened with Steve Yenish, but whatever happened, he's thrown out the window because Jordan, he's fast again.
He's definitely taken back off. I'm wondering if he tried to save his tires as much as possible, hoping these guys in front of him would burn him off, and it looks like that might be the case, as he has reeled the number 9 of Jeff Ward back in, who is right on the bumper, the number 70 of Scott Eckrich.
Right back on the bumper indeed, and he's actually running the upper lane, not necessarily the outside lane that we've been seeing Johnny Avila run in. And honestly, it looks like it's not really working for Avila, but he's staying there with the group. Whatever he's doing is still competitive enough for him to not lose too much time. And usually, at least for me, whenever I try to run the outside line, I'm always terribly slow and I get passed. But ever since that update came out a couple builds ago, it may have been the previous build, they sure have made that outside lane working It's the first time we've actually seen it work in any simulator or racing game. So it's good to see that that's working. And Avila, I'm sure he's excited to get a run. He's the only person I'm seeing right now kind of even approaching that outside lane. But he's making it work.
Do what your competitors aren't doing, and that's what Johnny's trying to do right now, trying to find just some sort of clean air to keep the nose turning on his car, and he is definitely trying to make that outside groove work. It is nice that, like you mentioned, iRacing put a lot of work into their outside groove. The beginning of the season, they put an air bubble up there so you could actually feel where you were at that point, and then, like you said, about 2 builds ago, they really put some grip on the outside lanes and have made multi-groove racing a real thing here for the rest of the season.
That number 9 of Jeff Ward got a really good run on the exit of turns number 3 and 4, but the number 70, which you can see with the special graphic out on the screen, was able to get a quick block and prevent anything from happening. As we saw right there, that kind of resulted in him getting a little bit of a space between that number 9 as he's carrying a bunch of speed down into 3 and 4. Doesn't drop to the bottom as quickly as a 9 of Jeff Ward does, but I think the angle he is taking is allowing him to not scrub off that much speed, and keeps him from having to turn too much. So it gives him a really good exit of the corner, although he does lose some time in the entry.
You mentioned Johnny Avila trying to work that outside. It looks like he's got it hooked up now as he has made a pass on the 55 of Brian Yazik for the 4th position, and he's looking to track down the 23 of Steve Yenish now.
You know what, Jordan? I think I know how Avila got that right side damage, and well, you got to learn from your mistakes, and I think Avila has learned from his mistakes right now because he's been running some fast laps. As a matter of fact, that last lap was a whole tenth of a second faster than your race leader, Scott Eckridge. Sorry, I meant to say Johnny Avila, but Scott Eckridge is running a good job as now Jeff Ward and Steve Yenish are battling it out for second place. And Avila's going to dodge that outside line, drop all the way to the inside as he's going to go 3 wide here in 3 wide TV on turn number 1. 17 laps to go. Avila, a stranger to the inside, but he's kind of trying to make that inside line work. Loses all that momentum. And Jordan, that's kind of why I want to stick to running the outside line right now, as he's going to drop a whole spot down back into 5th.
Like we mentioned in the pre-race show, you can make one mistake and it can kill your entire night. And Johnny tried to make the bottom work after he's been running the top, and backwards he goes with the anchor.
Backwards he goes indeed. As he lost a couple spots, and he's going to be losing a little bit more probably. He's going to try to not lose another spot and continue to keep himself up in the top 5, as that's AJ Digby that's battling against him now. Take a look at those drivers that we saw go down Pear Road earlier. You saw Mark Cohn, who has the freshest tires right now, but I think that damage may be affecting him because he's dropped back a little bit now. Tyler Seville now battling 3 wide for the top 10 here, as that's kind of like a second pack going on the field right now. All those drivers that are battling for the lead are up front, they're together, and then we got a group on back, 10th and back, as we see the 11 of Tyler Seville kind of trying to hold on now and maybe try to lead a late charge now.
It'll be interesting to see what can happen with this second pack now that Tyler is broken free. He probably is the fastest car out of that group. So it'll be interesting to see if they can catch up to the lead pack or if they are going to hang still about 3 seconds back off them.
Nothing else changing up front. Even Johnny Avila still battling against AJ Digby, but his lap times are starting to get back to a little bit of a normal here for him. But, man, is he making that outside line work? Unfortunately for him, the 23 of Steve Yenish decided to kind of do the same thing, and that kind of ruined his momentum a little bit. He got himself a little bit tighter, had to back off a little, but still, it was enough as he kind of scrapes the outside wall in the entry of the corner. That's enough to lose a whole position there to the 14, but might just be that. That's the dangers of running that outside line. Is if you make a mistake, you almost pay for it right away.
That you do, and I'm going to say it again. Where did he come from? The 88 of Thomas George has entered the top 3.
We saw Thomas George running a clean top 5, and if not in the top 5, he was running around 6. But right now, Thomas George is making himself kind of familiar right now with third place because that's right. He's trying to hold off right now against the number 23 of Steve Yenish. And Steve Yenish, we've been seeing him fluctuate between running up front and dropping to the back. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where you pass one driver and then they pass you back, and you pass a driver and they pass you back, and it goes on and on and on. But the number 23 right now, getting himself back up into third, is going to slam the door in front of the number 88. As Thomas George thought about looking on the inside, is elected to not do so. He's going to kind of push him into that corner. And, well, doesn't really do much for the 23. But if you do that correctly, you're going to push that driver really, really tight. They may even get into the wall.
That they might, and that's what you're trying to do right here. Not necessarily wreck your competitor, but get in their head enough that they make a big enough mistake that you can easily get by them, as the number 63 of Johnny Avila running that outside, trying to make it 3 wide on the 88 and 14.
88 and 14 battling hard right now. Now it's Avila and the 14 of AJ Digby. I think there may have been just a little bit of contact there. Accidentally, of course, it seems like, as on the exit of the corner, they all kind of merged up in together. But that 63 kind of making that outside lane work again. But something I do notice with AJ Digby, and not just in this track, in the majority of the tracks that have an open apron down there, he usually tends to not drop below the white flag. And that might be a little bit of frustration to some of the drivers on the outside of him. Usually in tracks like this or an auto club where you're kind of almost expected to kind of run below the apron crossing the start-finish line, you now have to hope that the driver does go below the white line, or just kind of assume they won't and kind of run a little bit above it, giving them some space. And in the case with the 63, and earlier where we saw with Thomas George, where it seemed a little awkward there, they kind of are giving him spaces. This 63 is all up against the outside wall right there. But yeah, it's the driver's responsibility to make sure that they're clear when they make a move. And speaking of making a move, Yasik's coming in here out of nowhere. Again, getting to the inside of number 14 of Digby, going 3 wide with Avila on the outside line. And who's that? That's Will Worsler in a lime green paint scheme. At least I think that's lime green. New sponsor here for him tonight, as he's now getting in this picture and trying to battle himself into the top 5 as the leaders are kind of splitting away.
That lime green paint scheme has been throwing me off all night, because the only driver all season long that's been having one is the 63, and now Mr. Worsler decides he's going to make a lime green paint scheme as well. And yeah, I've had to do a couple double takes before I've said anything tonight.
Well, Will Worsler is doing a fantastic job of kind of being there towards the end of the race. And that is something that he has done before. Multiple times he does. He's been there for a long time, and he knows when the time is right. And right now the time is right. Unfortunately, he may not have the speed to win tonight unless a late caution comes out. But maybe getting a top 5, that's right there in front of him. Johnny Avila, who's kind of dropped back from the rest of the field. Albeit, it's because he's been making mistakes and hitting the outside wall. Unfortunate for him. Because he's been running fast out there on the outside line. And, maybe in the second race, if he makes it work even better and he learns from all his mistakes in here, he could find himself in victory lane. As we got Nikki Worsler saying that she, too, was a little confused as to who he was. But also dropping, saying that, wow, and I apologize if I say this wrong, Willoughby Roofing and Sheet Metal is the new sponsor here for tonight. For him, I should say.
I'm glad you tried to pronounce that, because I couldn't.
I do think it is Willoughby. Willoughby. Willoughby? It's probably Willoughby. Anyway, Thomas George and Steve Yanish are battling it out there for third place. This is going to be your podium possibly position here with 5 laps to go. That driver up ahead is none other than, I want to say, Drew Carroll. There we go. I got it. Oh, and then it is Willoughby. Okay, I got it right. That's good. So yeah, Drew Carroll, we saw him get heavy damage, missing that front bumper from the incident earlier that we saw him involved in. And I don't know, it's a little close to the race leaders. I'm sure 88 is not going to be enjoying that. Carroll maybe got a little bit too close. Not sure if all these drivers might be complaining about lap traffic there. But it seems like there may not be any harm there, as number 63, number 23, they're all going to go by him. Well, Wursler's having a little bit of a hard time getting past that lap traffic, as now it's AJ Digby is going to have to try to maneuver his way through the number 27. No problem there for the 14, although he will have to take a little bit of an awkward line. He's going to lose a little bit of time, as right now Brian Yozik has some trapped traffic. He's going to get by. And he does so as the 27 agrees to kind of move out of the way. And unfortunately doesn't impact him, as we have a late caution.
This changes everything as the cautions come out here with 2 laps to go.
Do you pit or do you not pit? I think Kevin Stone was the driver that was involved in that incident.
That's a tough one with 2 laps to go. If you remember back at Texas, I tried to make a decision like that, and that didn't end up very well. So don't ask me, because I make the wrong decision when it usually comes to that. But as you have the replay up, it looks like the 17 and 51 once again going around for this caution.
And the 03 involved as well. 51 wasn't really his fault at all. Same thing with the 03, if that is in fact the 03. As it just seems that Kevin Stone got a little bit tight there on the exit of the corner. Hit the outside wall, and the 51 didn't expect the sudden loss of momentum as he gets turned by the 03. As we got all the drivers going down Pier Road right now, we're going to cut away from the replay, take a look at what's going on, because, wow, everybody is elected to go down Pier Road.
The question turns now, 2 or 4 tires while you're on pit road here with 3 laps to go.
I think 4 tires for sure. All these drivers on Pit Road right now, as I'm trying to find my Pit Road camera. So Jordan, keep on talking.
I will do my best what I can do for you. It looks like the 88's definitely taking 4 tires, as the 23, the 11, the 69 rolling down pit road. He's going to his pit stall right now. First driver to look to roll off a pit road is the number 88, followed by looks like the 70 and the 63. Big change up off a pit road.
You want to know something fun? We had one driver stay out, and that one driver is number 41, Tim Knott. He has nearly double the length of the tires that... Wait, I'm sorry. That did not come out right. He last went down pit road, lap 43, and these drivers have gone down pit road on lap 83, so that's 20 lap older tires. I'm not sure where I try to go with that double length, but 41 outside. Right now, Thomas Shorts have gone right on by him. 41 has some front end damage. Not sure if he is electing to kind of drop to the back, as we see some of these drivers already going past him now. Do you have any word from race control? What's happening?
I'm trying to figure that one out myself. Looking like possibly... I don't know on this one. I'm a little confused.
He could just be electing to kind of drop to the back. I'm taking a look here. He's only gone down pit road 2 times, so he should technically have 1 more set of tires, right? Because all these drivers have 4 sets with 1 set on pit road. No, they have 3 sets with 2 sets on pit road, right?
Correct. 2 sets on pit road plus the set you start the race with for 3 sets total. I'm wondering if when Tim stayed out, he didn't beat the drivers all the way down pit road when they came out, possibly?
No,
I'm not sure why.
What I'm thinking is he asked race control to drop him to the back or something, because he's gone down pit road 2 times. I think it may be a safe bet to assume that he doesn't have any fresh tires, and instead of staying up front and possibly causing another big incident, he may just be electing to drop to the back, because that's where he'll probably end up anyway, if that is indeed the case.
Yeah, it looks like he's
never mind.
back up now, so... Interesting turn of events here as the 41 has decided to stay out on the, what I'm going to call the Jordan Harness strategy. Not necessarily the greatest strategy in the world, but nonetheless, it is a strategy.
Oh, we got Greg Evans here in the Infield Care Center. Let's get a quick word with Greg. Greg, how are you doing today?
Doing good, sir. How are you doing today?
It's okay. It's a little hectic going on, but we got ourselves a nice green-white checkered restart. Greg, unfortunately, it does look like your night is done. No?
Yeah, we're gonna come back and race too. We got a little late in here this evening. Didn't get much practice or anything like that, so I just got caught up in somebody else's deal. But we'll be in race number 2 hopefully.
Well, yeah, unfortunately got involved in that incident. We did notice that you did qualify towards the back, but that's because no lap was put down. But still, hopefully you learned enough as you got yourself whatever intel you needed to kind of get yourself back up front for race number 2.
Thank you guys. Hopefully, yeah, I think we were watching the broadcast. We should be good for race number 2 hopefully.
Sounds good. All right, good luck, my friend. We'll talk to you later tonight. All right. Pace cars getting ready to pull off here with the first attempt at a green-white checkered. Never mind. Oh, no, yeah, he does. Sorry, he really went down pit road late. So, green flag is out as Barney is waving it on. He may be just as confused as I was, Jordan. I'm not sure if you were because that pace car went down pit road pretty late. Green flag is out for what could be the last restart of race number 1.
Green flag is out, and Tim Knott did not get the jump that we've seen the leaders get prior, as he does have much older tires. They're going to fan out 3 wide as they try to shuffle Tim Knott back as quickly as possible. The 88 and 70 are going to battle side by side going into turn 3 for the lead position.
Tim Knott kind of out of the picture right now. Hopefully he does. There's no issues going to get involved in theirs. We have a battle for the lead contact between the 88 and Tim Knott goes around the 70. No caution because it is in fact the last lap. Heavy damage for a bunch of these drivers. The leaders somehow saved that. Not sure how, but Tim Knott is out. He's spun out. He's wrecked back there. We are on the white flag as Scott Eckrich is currently holding to the lead. AJ Digby makes slight contact with the 88. 88's going to lose a ton of position and even more as he gets turned by the 11. Scott Eckrich is going to win tonight's race number 1 here. Big damage for a bunch of drivers.
Lots of contact as they come out of turn 3 and 4. You go from second to, looks like Mr. Thomas George is going to fall back all the way to at least 18th position, maybe even further back. Wow, that's all I can say about that finish. Is green-white checkers can make good races turn crazy really quick.
That is indeed the case, as I apologize. My mic was turned off there. Scott Eckrich getting the win here. The first win of the night. He's going to celebrate on victory lane.
Yeah, and after all the carnage through turns 3 and 4, second place goes to AJ Digby, third place Brian Yazik, fourth place goes to Johnny Avila, fifth place goes to Michael Krobach. He definitely gained a few positions out of that as he was running in the top 10 most of the night, and now gets the top 5 out of it.
Yep, you can see right there, 6th place, Grant Brown. Alan Young will be finishing tonight's race in 7th. Adam Jersky, Alan Young in 7th. Adam Jersky in 8th. Todd Kirkwood finishing tonight's race in 9th. And top 10 is going to be Woody Mahan.
Tough break for Jeff Ward as he got caught up in that incident in turns 3 and 4. He's going to finish 11th. Kevin Stone is going to finish 12th. Gordon Digby in his debut of the series is going to finish 13th. Will Worsler falls all the way back to, looks like 15th as I missed Steve Yenish there, and 14th, sorry.
Yeah, I apologize. 16th, 15th, Will Worsler. 16th, Mark Myers. Titus will be finishing this race out in 17th. Thomas George, 18th, finishing there. Drew Carroll, 19th. Mark Cohn, 20th. Troy Haight will be finishing 21st. Tim Knott, 22nd. Richard Fletcher, 23rd. Corey Benton, 24th. 25th is John Eckert, 4th. And 26th will be Greg Evans, who we just briefly spoke to just a couple minutes ago. So we're going to take a very, very quick break, and we'll be right back with the maybe an interview or two before we move on to this second race here of the night. So we will be right back. All right, we're back. All right. And, well, that was a fantastic finish. It's a little crazy, as a matter of fact. Let's see if we can quickly go over just what happened in that last lap, because we had a lot of things going on. We had a couple issues. So one of the things I do want to take a look at is kind of see what happened to Tim Knott. As let me go ahead and pull up that replay, because I don't know if you saw, there was just a tiny bit of an issue. As I couldn't have chosen a better camera angle for that.
Well, looks like what I mentioned before, the old Jordan Harness strategy from the race at Texas early this season bit Tim Knott as well. Staying out late when everyone else takes tires just doesn't work. It looks like the 84 of Woody Mahan made contact with the 41 of Tim Knott as they took the white flag and collected a few other drivers.
Yeah, that's what we see. Mark Cohn also involved. Woody Mahan. Taking a look, this is what essentially happened. 4Y84, I guess, didn't expect the 41 to be that slow. Went through the field, and I think he probably got the better end of the deal there compared to what happened with some of the other drivers. You can see back there. I'm seeing Mark Cohn also involved here. There's a number 27 who we just saw get turned there just briefly. Let's take a look. There's the incident up ahead. Oh, man, contact with the... not sure who that was. Was that the 83? There's no 83 here. Was that the 88, I should say? Well, not sure who that was, but one of those drivers got some heavy contact. And then we had an issue coming to the start-finish line. We had a big wreck. As I'm trying to see just what happened there. Yeah, 88, there was involved in that incident. Wow, all those Will Worcer guys kind of got involved there. As, let's put up Thomas George. And I kind of want to slow it down here a little bit. We saw a little bit of contact there with the 55. Got a little loose, and then he saved it in front of the 11. Could not do anything else after that. The 11 got on his back bumper, and honestly, if you're lifting for that, nobody's lifting for that at all. 63 of Avila was lucky, was able to get right up on by him. See the 72 in the wall, 15 also in the wall, 28 heavy damage, 29 involved as well. We see league newcomer Jeff Ward involved in that incident as well. Costed him a top 10, unfortunately. 84 involved as well as a 23 and a couple other drivers, but heavy damage to all these guys. And I believe we're going to find ourselves here with the first interview of the night, and that's going to be with Brian Yazik. And let's see if we can pull him up here. Brian Yazik, there he is. Let's go ahead and move him up on to the waiting room. Make sure he's not cursing up a storm, just in case anybody comes in here with a hot mic. And Brian Yazik, Jordan Harnish has a couple words here for you.
Brian Yazik, a strong top 3 finish in race number 1. Tell us a little bit about your night tonight.
Well, Jordan, it was exciting. We figured out a lot of things that didn't work and some things that did. Got lucky at the right times. And it's kind of about where I wanted to finish. I was going to take a top 5. That's cool. The first time I talked to y'all this year, so that's exciting too. But product of the package of what it is. You kind of just get stuck in these packs and you get these huge runs. And it's not like Daytona, where you got room to run. You run out of room real quick. So that was that. Once you kind of hope to get the right brakes, and get the right lane moving, kind of get going forward. That's how we ended up where we did. I'll take it. I'll take the third, I'll take it.
Was definitely a strong run for you after starting. I believe you started 16th in the first race, working your way up methodically through the field as you always do. Yeah, definitely was a crazy race. Take us through the last lap coming through turn 3 and 4. What was your take on all of that?
I was just telling the guys, it's one of those moments that you just look at the center screen and you don't really look at the left or the right, and you just hope that you make it on turn 4. So that's exactly how we handled that final corner. Just the restart was going to be what the restart was going to be, and you just hope to, not be in the lane that wouldn't go. And, by God, we got top side of 4, and we're going, okay, this is we're either going to finish great or we're going to finish backwards. And luckily, hey, we're sitting here talking to you guys.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Is there anyone that you want to thank for tonight?
I mean, we got Joy of Driving on the car. That is our good friend Mark Cohen. That's his YouTube channel was DMLC, now Joy of Driving. Just wanted to give him a little thanks for all the support he's given us at LPM and in other ventures that we've got going on. So just kind of more of a, give him a little shout out, give him a little nod. Plus, his paint scheme is pretty cool. It's based around that GT scheme for Briscoe. So we're going to see if we can't make it shine real nice and bright out here in front under the lights here now.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your third place finish tonight, and good luck in race number 2. Hopefully we get to talk to you again soon.
Hey, let's go for it, buddy.
All right, and that was your third place driver. Let's go see if we can bring in AJ Digby, number 14, getting himself a runner-up finish here tonight. And let's see where he is and take a look and see if we can get Jordan to have a quick word with your second place driver. Let's move him up here to the broadcast booth. There is AJ Digby. Jordan, take it away.
AJ Digby, a strong second place finish in race number 1. Tell us a little bit about your night so far.
I mean, it's been forever since I've talked to you guys up in the booth, but it was a good race. Started P2, ended P2, so that's always a really solid day, and it's been nice. Had a lot of not great races in a row, so it was nice to get back up front. This 14 car has been fast. I just could never qualify up front and couldn't qualify into a good position. Finally was able to do that. Now, while I did fall back a little bit at the start, I had started in a good position. So it set me up for the rest of the race, and I felt like I had a solid top 10 going for most of the race. And then because of that last caution, we were able to get through everything and get up a couple spots. Felt a little bit bad about the contact. I was just trying to get by low, and it was very light contact. It looked like he saved it there, and then there might have been a little bit more later. But all in all, the 14 was very happy to be second. This high flow machine was pretty quick, and I'm excited to get to the second part of this doubleheader and see what we can do under the lights.
Yeah, it was definitely good to see that number 14 with a strong run tonight. As you mentioned, you've had a little bit of rough luck the last couple weeks, and bouncing back to P number 2 is definitely a great run. Do you have anyone you want to thank tonight?
First of all, I got to thank all the teammates, Will Worsler, Tyler Seville, Richard Fletcher. Those guys, getting to practice with them all the time really helps. Tonight is the first time that my dad is in the league, so Gordon Digby, the number 12 car, currently with just kind of a test scheme, but it was cool to have my dad out there tonight, and he's been watching for so long. And it was nice to have him on the track with me as well. So just awesome. That high flow machine, like I said, that high flow Chevrolet was really quick. And also got to thank my grandparents and fiance Savannah and everybody else who was watching at home and cheering us, Will Worsler Racing on. And hopefully we can put on another good show here in race 2.
The family,
thank you guys up in the booth.
Absolutely. The family affair definitely makes it way more fun every night, and glad to see your dad joining us as well. Congratulations on your second place finish, and good luck in race number 2. Hopefully we talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
That was your second place finisher, and Jordan Harnish is catching up to kind of see where Scott Eckridge is, tonight's race winner. And I'm taking a look. He's having a quick word with his LMP chat teammates, but let's go ahead and bring in your race winner, Scott Eckridge. Let's go ahead and cue the victory music as Jordan, take it away.
Scott Eckridge, the resident alien of the league, with another win tonight. Tell us a little bit about your night.
Yeah, this is an interesting track. It's cool that we got the multi-groove here, but it's very aero locked and lots of aero wash and tight behind everyone. So it's just I'm gonna try doing in this one what we did in the first one. It was just get to the lead as fast as possible and try throwing air blocks on everybody behind you.
Well, we'll make it click as qualifying has started for race number 2. Is there anyone you want to thank for your win in race number 1?
Yeah, this is my team, Graphics LC Motorsports, and then you guys up there in the booth filling in tonight.
We appreciate it, Scott. Good luck in race number 2. Hopefully a little bit better qualifying effort for you in race number 2 and the same outcome at the finish.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick little break as we try to get ourselves sorted up for the second session. It's a little bit early than I thought. I didn't think qualifying would already be happening, but we're going to take a quick break and then we'll go over and start up this second session here pretty soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys miss us because we sure have missed you guys already. A couple minutes down in qualifying. The only driver out on track right now is just Adam Jersky there, running a couple laps. Once again, reminder, I am Carlos Acosta. Joining me tonight is Jordan Harnish. Jordan, you have your first race in the books here for 3YTV. How did that go for you? You have a good time?
This is an absolute blast. Jumping out of the driver's seat, taking a couple different roles here the last few weeks, adminning with Sam and taking over that, and now getting to hang out with you tonight. I'm having an absolute blast. This is fun.
Well, that's good to hear, and that's something that's also hard to do. You jumped out of the driver's seat. How difficult of a decision was that for you?
It was not an easy one, especially with the season I had going this year. Was probably one of the best seasons I'd had in a long, long time. And to remove myself from the driver's seat and take an ownership role in the league was something I definitely had to think about. But in the long run, I think Sam and I have a really good team underneath us, and we're going to make a really good go at this.
That is well said. It's always a difficult decision to kind of hang up your driving kind of like part of your life, where I kind of had to do the same almost. I'm no longer pretty much racing in any league, just focusing mostly on at least outside of work, just 3YTV stuff and other personal stuff that's kind of just like relaxing for me. But I do miss driving sometimes, and I wish I could get back to it. And I may, 3YTV, it's fun, but it was always a small project, and I'm glad that people are enjoying it and they love what we do, and we love working with people like you and all the other people we've had to work with in the past. You got Corey B saying you guys are doing a great job, giving you and Sam shout outs. So shout out to Corey B, because these guys do deserve shout outs. They came in, and they've pretty much started running a league in less than like a couple days. They were able to get their first race going, and that was just a logistical effort right there. It was almost a logistical nightmare, I should say. You guys put in a big effort, but right now we have to go over the race results, and you know what that means. We got to play our starting music. Where's my music? Here it is. There it is. A little quiet there, but I got it working there. Jordan, tonight's front row is Will Wursler racing Tyler Seville. He started the race outside of the front row. But now he's qualified in first place. Scott Eckridge qualified second. Adam Jersky in third. Thomas George in fourth. Greg Evans fifth. Jeff Ward sixth. Will Wursler has qualified in seventh. Drew Carroll eighth. Troy Haight ninth. Brian Yosik will be starting off tonight's race in 10th place. And now it's starting to get a little bit weird. Not sure why my qualifying thing stopped showing. There it is. Yeah, go on, Jordan.
Starting 11th is AJ Digby. Woody Mahan will start 12th. Alan Young picks up the 13th spot. Johnny Avila starting 14th. Michael Krobach will start 15th. Grant Brown starting 16th. John Eckert will be in 17th. Corey Benton, one of the newcomers, starting 18th. Todd Kirkwood starting 19th. And Kevin Stone will roll off in 20th.
21st will be Gordon Digby, Richard Fletcher in 22nd. Tim Knott 23rd. Mark Myers in 24th, and that's actually going to be the rest of your field tonight. We only had two drivers that did not show up for the second race. So, all right, two drivers less. That's actually, honestly, a really good turnaround, especially considering some drivers are knocked out pretty early, and some of those drivers that did get knocked out early did come back. So it's always good to see you guys still keep a majority of the drivers coming back for that second race, because with the leagues that I've seen that have tried to do this, they lose a lot of drivers at that second race. But you guys did a great job. As the pace car is coming out here. Once again, a late turn. Didn't get me this time, pace car driver, as Barney's going to get ready to wave that green flag.
The green flag is out. Tyler Seville and Scott Eckridge will roll the field down into turns 1 and 2. Very different start than what we saw on race number 1, as the field is side by side as they roll down to turn number 1.
This time on the initial start of the race, Big difference compared to race number 1. Race number 1, the inside lane had 3 drivers pretty much clear themselves. This time by, nobody was able to clear themselves. As a matter of fact, Scott Eckridge is going to take the lead from Tyler Seville, and he's going to go on to lead lap number 1 here tonight, as the pole sitter will not be leading that first lap.
Picking up right where he left off as the 70 of Scott Eckridge, as the 11 of Tyler Seville rolls in second. The 88 of Thomas George running third, where we saw him running, coming to the white flag, and got wrecked in turn 3 and 4. Wow.
I apologize, had something happening there. But yeah, no problem there for the top 2 as they continued. Thomas George trying to clear himself off of third place, as that looks like Jeff Ward is going to try to improve on that finish. He had himself a top 10, possibly a top 5 going until that last lap incident off of number 3 and 4. Ended up finishing 11th, so I'm sure he wants to get himself a top 10 here tonight on what could have been a possible 2 top 10 finish.
Good thing about the dual races in one night, like I mentioned before, a fresh car to start race number 2. Look at Drew Carroll trying to run the bottom, pick up spot number 4.
Yes, indeed, and single file pretty much all the way across through the top 5. See Adam Jersky with his Beef Jersky's Cheesecake Machine, which I'm still waiting for that sampler for. If you really need to find out which is the best cheesecake, Adam, just go ahead and send it my way. Don't send it to Greg. Never to Greg Evans. Not Evans, Greg Rentz, I should say. Greg Evans, you can send whatever you want, but right now he's passing you, so you probably won't be sending him anything, as that number 2 got a good qualifying effort this time by, was actually able to qualify, and lo and behold, he's currently running in 7th. So big turnaround.
Definitely a big turnaround for Greg Evans, your current point leader, even after the rough finish he had. He still has a 47-point lead over now Scott Eckridge, who is now taking over the second place in points.
He's only lost less than 20 points there from that first race, probably about 12 or something. I'm not really in a position for me to do some quick maths here, as I changed where the math graphic is located, so there it's back on. I'm going to turn it off again. But yeah, Greg Evans, good position. That's kind of why you want to get yourself a good points lead for things like this, where, well, in this case, he was unfortunately unable to get himself as prepared as he wanted to, started in the back, and he paid the price. This time by, this race number 2, which is rare, you know, this is the first time we're going, back-to-back racing here in the same night this season, and the 2, Greg Evans, is going to do, he's learned a lot from his first race, even though it was kind of short, but right off the bat, he's already back in the top 10, and he's trying to contend to maybe get a top 5 finish.
Definitely a much different look from race number 1. As race number 1, everyone fanned out very quickly. Race number 2, everyone's jockeying for position still here on lap number 7. Not necessarily single file like we saw on the first race.
That's indeed the case. We saw the majority of the field kind of single file. This time by, we still got a couple drivers kind of going side by side for position, as I think Gordon Digby has gone off the track. So unfortunate. This is similar to that first race, where Gordon Digby had an issue, as I believe Tim Knott has gone down pit lane. It's a little interesting. Does he have some rear end damage?
Looks like there might be a little bit of a crinkle there. I wonder if there was some contact between the 13 and the 41.
I'll find out for you right now, but you got to take over and talk for a little bit while I get that replayed all queued up.
As we're looking here on the screen right now, Scott Eckridge still leads the pack. Second place, Drew Carroll. Big turnaround for him after the wreck on the first race. Thomas George continues to run third. Tyler Seville running 4th. And Jeff Ward is running 5th. As the top 5 now starts to single file out. As Jeff Ward now looks to the bottom of the 11 of Tyler Seville. One thing about this aero package, as the drivers have talked before, you got to try to find the clean air as soon as possible. No clean air means no forward progress, as Carlos has the replay brought back up.
Yeah, there it is. I think number 12 of Gordon Digby came down in front of the 41, and this seemed like a caution that never was, unfortunately, as 3 drivers were involved. Not sure who that third driver was. Might be the 43 of Richard Fletcher. I think he is, because he's kind of dropping back. So 3 drivers involved, and unfortunately, I think Tim Knott and Gordon Digby in number 12 kind of got the worst end of that deal. Is lots of spot loss for those drivers, and those cars are heavily damaged.
Not what you want to see here on lap number 11 of race number 2. Makes it for a very long night, especially for Gordon Digby and Tim Knott, who both were involved in incidents in the first race.
Yep, still, so far though, no caution. So Sam, you better keep that checkbook open because streak is still good. And if this is technically race number 2, so that's $20 in line. Now that doesn't mean that the first driver with 0 X's is gonna get $20. They're gonna be getting $10, and then another random driver in the top 10, I believe, will be getting $10. That driver does need to have 0 X's.
0 X's is the name of the game. We're not going to pay you if you run into something.
Yep, so unfortunately, Gordon Digby, Tim Knott, Richard Fletcher, if you guys do somehow make the top 10, you will not be eligible for that payout. I wonder what happens. All right, so riddle me this. What if only the race leader got 0 incident points and the rest of the field had like 1? What would happen then?
At that point, the race leader would take the bounty home, and I believe he would take the entire bounty. So we saw last year a bounty of, I believe, about $180 get paid out. And it was 18 people took home $10 because 18 people had 0x in a race. I don't remember exactly where it was. I think the most we paid out this season is about $70. That was earlier this season. But if everyone has 1x and the leader has 0, then the leader's going to take home a serious payday.
Now, I do kind of remember that stretch where the bounty got really, really high, and it wasn't because these guys were getting cautions left and right. The total caution percentage was still pretty low last season. This season, of course, is even lower, but last season, I do remember there being a couple races where you guys did go caution-free until, like, the last second of the last of the 2 laps to go. I remember there being a couple races where the leader was about to take the white flag and somebody wrecked, and the bounty went away. So that was an interesting stretch for sure. Trying to see that bounty get bigger and bigger, and then eventually get paid off. So that's pretty cool. And unfortunately, now these guys are getting zero incident races like left and right. And caution-free races. I should say is, oh no, somebody goes around. Caution is out. Sam, close that checkbook.
Close that checkbook. Around goes the number 9 of Jeff Ward.
Jeff Ward, I think, may have gotten turned. I was taking a look at that one in my secondary feed when that happened, and I think he may not be too happy, but let's not speculate. Let's take a look at the replay. 63 of Avila right underneath him, and I think he may have a gripe with iRacing's netcode is, oh no, your second place finisher. AJ Digby caught a hard lick on that as well. Hopefully he maybe phased through, but I think with the change of direction that car took, I think he may actually have some damage there. Let's take a look at it from the blimp cam. Is Jordan, what do you see?
Yeah, he might have a gripe with iRacing's netcode. It looks like the 63 was starting to drift up just a little bit. Contact with the 9, and then, like you said, in came the 69 of Adam Jersky and the 14 of AJ Digby, also collecting damage from that wreck.
Yeah, indeed. The 63 got a little tight and he backed off, and when he did, that's when the netcode was made. I do think that in this situation, if there was contact, which I do think there would have been contact, I don't think that the 9 would have spun out like that. I think he maybe would have felt it a little bit, but I just don't think it would have been that same situation as that car kind of jerked and even got lifted up a little bit as that invisible contact was made. So unfortunate there for the 9 of Jeff Ward, and I'm not sure how race control is going to cover that. As I think if there has to be blame assigned, it would probably be given to the 63, even though that was a netcode situation.
That is correct. Race control has made their call, and the 63 will be starting the tail of the field for the contact with that caution.
Oof, and that's going to be a strike added to the number 63. He ran a fantastic race on race number 1. Race number 2, not really sure he feels that he needs, that he deserves that strike, but sure he has no choice either way than to maybe protest. And Jordan, why don't you talk about what what a protest is and what it means for these guys who get strikes.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to air out your grievances with the race control admins. First one, obviously, like you just mentioned, is protesting.
By death.
If you feel we made the wrong call, after you wait 8 hours, so tomorrow morning, you can submit a protest to league ownership, and we will review it. And that's when the driver council also comes into play, as they will review it as well. As we're not going to just the admins aren't going to review their own decision. We're going to get a couple extra set of eyes. Your peers are going to make a decision for you, and we're going to go from there. Either uphold the penalty that was assigned, or rescind it, or in some cases, you might even get a larger penalty if the drivers feel that race control is a little bit too lenient, which is very, very rare for that to happen, but the option is there.
Yep, and I have seen some complaints about a protest maybe not working, but the truth is the race control kind of gets it correct the first time, and there have been overturns. There have been cases where a penalty was not necessarily completely removed, although we have seen that. But I think more often than not, a penalty may be reduced, where instead of being taken back for a week or different penalties assigned, which means they just have to start at the back, or in some cases it just means that they have a strike and they just have to be a little bit more careful. But now the 63 does have to be a little bit more careful, and he was running a very harsh race in that first twin. Not sure if he may be trying to be as aggressive here in the second one now that he's got that strike. But that being said, he's still a fine driver, and I'm sure it's not gonna affect him too much.
No, he definitely is a good driver. I think he honest mistake there. Honest mistakes happen. That's why we don't sit you down for one caution instantly. Looking back, trying to find the strikes at the moment, I don't believe anyone has any active strikes, so we are good. Before tonight started, obviously there's a couple strikes from the race before, and the 63 does not have any. So he only has one on his name right now, so he just needs to make sure he runs a clean rest of the race, clean next couple weeks, and he'll be good to go.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Had something in my head. Yeah, you guys don't have anybody in that currently had any strikes, just based on the last couple races. Of course, last week being, or not last week, but the last race being a road race, there was, you're not going to clear any strikes for that. But the race before that was a caution-free oval race, and we had some drivers get their strikes cleared. So whatever strikes some of these drivers would have had were pretty much erased from that caution-free race and 0 incident point race. But pace car's going to pull off, and we're going to have the first restart of the night. I'm sure Sam is kind of having a mixed smile, mixed frown, because he saw a caution flag, but at the same time, he doesn't have to pay out this $10.
That he does, and a big jump from Scott Eckrich. That's what we saw in the first race. The leader getting a ginormous jump, pulling the bottom lane along with him. Second place goes now to Thomas George as he goes around the 27 of Drew Carroll and trying to pull around the 11 as well.
Yeah, that's the biggest jump the leader has taken tonight that I've seen, especially recently. The leader kind of has been stalling out just a little on the inside lane, but wow, we're 70. Scott Eckrich waited absolutely no time and got the biggest jump of the night so far. No problem for the 70 as he's cleared off, but Thomas George now has a challenge from number 11 of Tyler Seville, as Drew Carroll's just looking in the back. He's got a great seat to see this battle for second place, maybe participate, and now make it become a battle for third place.
The 88 of Thomas George pulling the 27 down the backstretch, and now into third place is Drew Carroll as he looks to try to take the bottom on the 88 of Thomas George.
No problem there for the 88 as he's now solely in possession of second place. Drew Carroll in third, and Tyler Seville in fourth. We saw Tyler Seville get involved in that last lap incident with the 88. Of course, everybody was battling for whatever position they could get on that last lap, so it's not really anybody's fault. But actually, quick question. Since no caution came out, would there technically not be any strikes unless maybe somebody protests?
That is correct. No caution, no strike unless a protest is made. Drivers, like I mentioned earlier, do have the option to protest if they feel race control wasn't able to do something in a situation like that. Drivers are always encouraged to protest if they feel that an over-aggressive move was made coming to the checkered flag. That way, if race control deems it after the fact that it was over-aggressive, then something can be done at that point. But if no protest, then we're good to go.
Battle for second place as the 27 gets a little too close there to that 88. And like nothing bad happened there that time by, but the 27 is going to lose some time. Going back to what you were talking about with the protest deal, I really love the fact that you guys have a waiting period. Not every league does that. And some leagues are just allow protests to happen and people get angry. And, you know, I've been mad myself. I've been in situations where I feel, whether it was correct or not, where I wasn't treated right, where I got maybe wrecked or something bad happened, and the next day I could sleep it off and I'd be perfectly fine. Yeah, I'm not the type of person to file protests, but if I did, I probably would have wanted it removed because it's either my fault and I realized it the next day once I slept through it, or it really doesn't matter, and I don't want to be like a just like stick in the mud where, you know, something happened, it wasn't necessarily their fault, whatever the case was. But it's good to see that you guys have a waiting period for protests as we're going 3 wide and lit him in the back. There's, oh man, that's tires. Oh my goodness, Will Worsler Racing of Worsler, I should say, of Will Worsler Racing got a little loose. Same thing with the 55, but they all did a great job saving it. But just getting back to my point, you guys, it's a great thing to have a waiting period, because now that means if you really do feel like there needs to be a protest, you're not doing it out of anger. You're doing it even after you've cooled down.
That cool-off period also allows drivers to try to talk things through to see you can get your competitor's point of view onto what happened. And speaking of competitor's point of view, look now as a 63 after serving the EOL penalty is bolted on 4 fresh tires, and he is making a charge to the front from the back.
What a fantastic drive for the 63. We saw Titus DeVille try to do that same thing with fresher tires to no avail, and Johnny Avila with, at this point, 17 lap fresher tires from the rest of the field. 17 fresher laps from the rest of the field. He's kind of making it work compared to, you know, Titus DeVille, who kind of stalled out there in the back. So could also be the cooler temperatures. I don't know if you've noticed, the track is darker than usual as Johnny Villa is now up to second. And Jordan, that's because this second race is kind of happening like as if it would be later in the race. You know, it's about to be sunset. It probably is already like nearing sunset, as we're going to have a battle for the lead. And Jordan, how's that colder temperature with the night going to affect the way some of these drivers drive?
Colder temperatures means a faster track. Faster track means happier drivers, as the car will normally start to respond a little bit better once the temperatures go down. You can really start to play around with the groove a little bit more. It's a little bit more responsive, as the 63 is just marching away from the field right now with those fresher tires. That's what I expected out of Tyler Seville in the first run, but I don't think he had enough of a gap in the tires when he made his pit stop. But the 63 is taking...
He actually had more of a gap.
Wow. So I mean, the 63 is just proving the point right now that you get out and get fresh air and you get fresh tires, you are on a mission. And he's made lemonade out of lemons right here with the EOL from the caution.
Now, just because Johnny Avila is pulling away and was able to do what Titus Seville wasn't able to do, doesn't necessarily mean it's a big difference between these two as drivers. Titus Seville probably... It could have been a mixture of things. Maybe he wanted to still save those fresh tires in the event of an even longer run, or he could have gotten stuck behind traffic, because, you know, it's a little crazy back there towards the last couple of restarts there. So it's a little bit different compared. Not saying that necessarily John Avila is a faster or better driver than Tyler Seville, but the circumstances are a little bit different. But this time by, with those fresher tires, Johnny Avila wasted no time in trying to get to the lead, and he's making it work right now.
That he is. And another point there, as I mentioned in the first race, Tyler Seville could have had a little bit of damage on the nose, which would affect the car tremendously trying to get up through the field in a situation like that.
Single file out now here for kind of the rest of the field, as they're chances to battler has kind of settled in. You know, we had a quick caution. We almost had a second quick caution. Now, you know, everybody's kind of cooling off. The tires are kind of getting them to the position they want to. Tyler Seville's proving me wrong by trying to pass Alan Young here for 8th place. But other than that, it's looking pretty nice and calm, as we do have a couple drivers a lap or more down, including Digby family, AJ Digby and his father, Gordon Digby. Gordon Digby, of course, we saw him involved in an earlier incident that did not bring out the caution. Excuse me, got the hiccups there. But AJ Digby, you know, we briefly touched on it. He's a lap down. He's actually, he's 1 lap down, and he's very slow. What happened was, we saw on that caution, he was involved, and initially I meant to go back into it, but sorry AJ, but I kind of forgot to show back on that replay as to what happened in your point of view. But that side contact he had was heavy, and I think that it's affecting his engine speed because he is noticeably slower than the rest of the competition, and there's only so much speed you'll lose with aerodynamics. I think at this point, it's actually motor damage that's slowing him down, as well as aerodynamics.
Once you hurt that motor, you are in for a rough night, especially on these 1.5 mile tracks where you're mostly wide open. It can make for a long rest of your race.
That's indeed, and of course, these are a little bit shorter than usual, Sim Racer Club races. Of course, they're being twin races, but still, for twin races, it's a pretty long race, but in the grand scheme of things, pretty short. So right now, we are getting close to the halfway mark, halfway being lap 42, and I did mention, you know, should these races go green, I do kind of expected these guys to kind of split the race in two and kind of go down pit road around that time. But now the question is, you know, with green flag coming out, what lap did green flag come out in? I got it right here. Hold on, let me pull it up. Green flag came out on lap 20. So in about like around lap 40, that would be another 20 laps of green flag racing, and then they would have 40 laps after that. So the question is, do you kind of split that in two again? Do you pit in like around lap 50 or even 60? It's a little hard to tell, but Jordan, what would you do? Would you try to kind of split it in half, or kind of make it so that you only have 20 or so laps before you run out of fuel?
That's really a tough one, especially with the 63 on fresh tires now gapping the field by about 2 seconds. You don't want to let him get out too far of a lead, but also he's going to start plateauing out here very shortly with those tires, and the gap will stay stagnant for a little while. I'm thinking lap 45 would be the money stop right now to try to gain some time back on the 63.
I'm currently thinking maybe lap 50 or above, 50 or 55 around that range, because I think, you know, you pit him around lap 45. That's I want to say 25 lap old tires, and then you kind of have to go 35 laps the rest of the way. My math may be wrong as we moved on to the math section of the broadcast, but I think kind of waiting to like that 50 section, about 10 or so more laps, maybe a little bit longer than that, and you can kind of maybe push that second run to the end of the field. Of course, that's all kind of waiting to see if a caution does come out. I don't know. Like personally, the way I would earn it is, I would kind of like stay out just a little bit long, like around that 50 lap. Hope maybe a caution comes out. If it doesn't, then cool. You go down pit road, because kind of the worst things you want to do is kind of go down pit road early, hope that there isn't a caution, and then a caution comes out, because that will take you out of this race faster than you can even think.
Yeah, I learned early this season about 3 races in a row, that a caution while you're sitting on pit road is about the worst thing that could ever happen to you.
This race would be a ton easier if I was out there racing, because if I was out there racing, if you saw me going down pit road early, you better stay out, because you know a caution's going to happen. Or if you see me trying to stay out and kind of like hope for a late caution, you better jump down pit road right now, because there could be a caution any moment now. That's usually how it is for me, and that's kind of a reason as to why I'm in the booth now and not really racing with these guys. Although I do think I probably do have the skills to get a Premier Series license, but right now that would make it a little bit difficult with me broadcasting. going through the rest of the field. So it's all right. It's a little case of I have a dog that's trying to lick my nose while I'm trying to commentate.
No worries. I just had a visit from my little baby, so
Oh,
same
that's
thing
right.
kind of here.
Yeah, and congratulations, Jordan. You have become a father recently. Why don't you quickly tell us about what the changes of that is and how it's affecting your life right now?
Yeah, on the 26th of June, my first daughter was born. Definitely a big adjustment, but a fun adjustment nonetheless. Team No Sleep, right there with Greg Evans and Brian Yazek, as all three of us actually had all our first kids right kind of back to back to back.
Yeah, and we also got Peter Short out here in the chat, wishing you guys all the best. And Peter, of course, family and friends first. You gotta do what you gotta do. We got the booth handled out here tonight. Don't worry, I'm not gonna replace you with Jordan Harnish, as much as I want to. I can't do that. I'm kidding, Peter. Have a good night, and hopefully you're able to take care of the situation and be able to make it easier for your neighbor.
Yeah, no, Peter can definitely have his job back next week. Much as I'm having fun being up here with you, getting back in the admin booth next week, I'm definitely excited for that as well.
I'm getting ready to get all those calls and get all those drivers those strikes that they need. And
I don't want to hand out strikes. I want to hand out Sam's money. That's way more fun for me.
Yeah, but I'm sure Sam wants to hand out strikes and not his own money. I'm sure Sam doesn't really care. He just wants to see all these guys have fun. Like I'm sure, like we all want to see all these guys have fun. We got hashtag prayers for Harmon out here on the chat. Feel free to pray for Harmon as well. I got lap 46. We are past halfway, and this race is so far going faster than last race. Of course, last year we had a couple issues, but Richard Fletcher is out on pit road right now. We saw Richard Fletcher get involved in an incident earlier, so he is a little bit on the slow side right now. But, hopefully he can get himself some damage repaired and maybe get back in a good position by pitting a little bit earlier than usual. I'm not on the track right now, so it's a little hard to know when the caution will come out. But the rest of the field seems to be doing pretty good. As Johnny Avila, man, I think Johnny Avila getting involved in that incident, getting that black flag was probably the best thing that could have happened to him, because wow, just look at him. He's got 2.1 second lead over second place Scott Eckridge. And that's all because he got those fresher tires. Now, I'm sure I don't know. Do you think, if this was you, would you be willing to take a strike so that you could have an advantage like this?
No. I am not the driver that Johnny Avila is by any stretch of the imagination, so I am not taking any kind of strike, because God only knows when I'm going to get my next one. It could be the next lap, it could be the next week, it could be any time. So, no, I am not purposely taking a strike to take 4 fresh tires.
And of course, when I meant take a strike, I don't necessarily mean create a wreck on purpose. I just meant get in a situation like that where it was out of your control. In a way, I think the 24 is wrecking in the back. 24 goes around, caution is out.
Caution is out. This changes everything, and this might even play into Johnny Avila's strategy perfectly, as everybody will be coming down pit road now.
I don't know if, initially from my point of view, I kind of thought the 24 was getting a weird angle to go down pit road, and I realized they're not. They're in turn 3, but they're not in pit road area. And then I realized he was spinning around, and caution came out. Looks like he got a little bit of help. Let's find out just what happened. I'm going to have to go back in time a little bit more because, wow, something already happened there. That's what I saw. And actually, he may not have gotten help at all. That may have been an incident from an earlier point of view. And now I need to see, I need to see just what happened.
Looking back on that replay that you just showed right there, the 69 of Adam Jersky, he has been an absolute pinball tonight.
Yeah, heavy damage to that number 24, and I can't even find him out on track right now. There he is. Oh no, let's get another point of view here. Maybe this one will be a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so we see Alan Young gets the outside lane just a little bit, and that's what happened. He hit the outside wall, tried to recover, hit the 63, and then unfortunately was just out of control the rest of the way as he made contact there with the. I'm just not able to get that car number. Who is that, Jordan? Is that Tim Knott?
That'd be the 40 of Todd Kirkwood that he collected as well.
That's a real shame. Let's see if we can go on board with Todd Kirkwood. If I can even find him out here. I'm a little blind here. All right, let's go back here just a little bit. Here is Todd Kirkwood's point of view. He has a hood at this point. Oh, and then unfortunately can't do anything about that. He's already missing a front bumper there and then hits it again. 24 of Alan Young, not going to be happy about that night here tonight, and that's going to be leading on to some more of his frustration that he's been dealing with this season compared to the kind of funness he had last season.
If it wasn't for bad luck this season, Allen would have no luck. And now that pit stops are over, we have a shakeup up front as Scott Eckrich has come out on top.
Yeah, he has. Johnny Avila is now second. Thomas George third. Greg Evans fourth. Tyler Seville, currently your top five here. As we are still good to go here. And wow, heavy damage for a couple of these drivers. And unfortunate for some of them, their nights are either done in terms of speed. But it's a real shame from what we saw. But I want to get a quick word with Greg Evans. We did talk to him earlier. Of course, this was after, from the infield care center. But now I kind of want to see how's he's doing now that he had a chance to get some practice. And, how this second race is going for him. Greg, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Well, Greg, how's this race going for you now that you have some information from that first one?
It's pretty frustrating.
Oh, yeah?
You just can't really do much. It's everybody's around the high line. You get around the bottom and just kind of dies out. It's really hard to pass, like at the other tracks. But we'll see what we got here. Try to figure out something on the last couple laps there.
No, you were able to get a couple spots above from where you started earlier in that run. Currently in fourth. We got green flag next time by, but that number 2. Do you think? I don't know. Do you think you have what it takes to get a win?
We definitely got what it takes to get a win, but it's just it's almost like a chess match out here. You have to have some help to pass somebody or have some draft in front of you. It's really hard to pass, but we'll just make the most out of it and see if we can put something together here and get a win.
All right. Well, thank you so much for letting me know. Steel Horse Racing, right? That's the channel you're supposed to go back into?
Yes, sir. Steel Horse.
All right. Thank you. I had a little brain fart there. Good luck, Greg. We'll talk to you later. All right. And that's number 2. Currently in fourth place is Jordan. Why don't you go ahead and take this restart here?
Absolutely. Like we mentioned before, off the pit stop, Scott Eckrich back on the point with Johnny Avila starting second as we roll through turns 3 and 4. Getting ready to take the green flag with, I can't do math, what's like 30 laps to go? 31 laps to go. Yeah, math. I failed that subject in high school. The pace car ducks off. We're looking for Barney to give the green flag. As the leader takes off, Scott Eckrich again gets a big jump. Not as big as the last time, but enough to clear the 63 of Johnny Avila.
Yeah, and Johnny Avila is able to, well, not quite. Thomas George is just right there on the inside, and he's able to get enough momentum down the inside with that shorter length to get side-by-side with the number 63 of Avila, as now they're battling side-by-side for second place. But Scott Eckrich, your race leader, like Jordan mentioned, not necessarily the biggest restart of the night, but it's enough for him to get solo and not have to deal with any of these guys as... Now side-by-side they go, and Scott Eckrich may have to be looking at his mirror and maybe perform a couple of blocks with the momentum going on. Noting back to the last race, we were told that inside line kind of works for a couple laps on fresh tires, But then after that, it's a hindrance. It bogs you down too much. So this is the perfect time for all these guys to kind of shuffle around, get as many spots as they can, because then after that, they're almost locked into the position that they will be, unless one of these drivers makes a mistake, or you got a teammate behind you, or as Greg said, you got a draft. Whatever the case is, it's getting harder and harder as the lap goes by on these runs for anybody to make passes.
And as you look through the top 5, there is no teammates to help anybody right now. Everybody's solo, so you've got to try to make friends as quickly as possible. As we see the number 2 of Greg Evans look to the inside of number 63 of Johnny Abelia. No help, but Greg looks like he's going to clear him going into turn number 3.
Yeah, great use of the line that he was in, as now we're going too wide with the 11 of Tyler Seville. And I think Brian Yosik, not Yosik, I apologize, Troy Hay maybe trying to get another spot in there as the 84. Gets contact, goes into the outside wall. That's going to bring out a caution. Multiple drivers involved. Heavy carnage going on here as the 84. I'm not sure what happened. Not sure if it was netcode or if he got a little help, but that 55 and the, not 55, but the 11. And oh my goodness, heavy contact with all of these drivers. I need to pull up a replay.
Definitely heavy damage to the 84 as his rough season continues on with another wrecked race car. As you pull up the replay here, it looks like they're going down to turn number 1.
Oh, netcode.
Looks like some definitely netcode. The 84 and the 11 get together, and then just melee ensues behind them.
That's so netcode. That wasn't even funny. That's heavily unfortunate there. There was never going to be any contact there, and unfortunately, iRacing servers are just not with us here tonight. It's a 17, 45, 15 involved. I think the 03 may have also caught on a little bit of that, as that Mahan Speed vehicle, that Loud Pedal Motorsports machine, is wrecked up in the outside wall. Heavy damage, and I'm sure nobody's going to be happy with that. And I'm also sure Sam's not going to be happy with that, because he now has to determine if there needs to be an end of the line penalty given out. I personally would not give any out, but I'm not the one making those decisions. Jordan, have you heard anything?
Race control has made the decision the 84 is going to be given the EOL. Not that I really think it's going to matter as far as starting the race again, because I believe that thing is totaled at this point. But strike-wise, that looks like it's going to go to the 84 at this point in time. And as Woody has disconnected, has pulled that thing behind the wall, and he is going to be done for the night.
And that's real interesting for sure. And it's a real shame indeed. And the question is, I just took a look at what's next for us in terms of the race. Now, I'm not sure if the race sponsor for next week has been announced, or if it's the same that I'm looking at in Dan Lisa, but we're gonna go to New Hampshire. That's just short track, all right. You don't really want to go into that track with a strike, and Woody Mahan, I think he may end up protesting this one to maybe clear that, because that kind of seemed like it wasn't really either their fault, it's more of an iRacing fault, because you don't want to go to a track like New Hampshire and have to already start with a strike, because that's it's a track where it's less forgiving than here in terms of accidents. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. New Hampshire being my home track, I've grown up watching races there my entire life, and you definitely don't want to walk into New Hampshire with a strike over your head. It might be a mile-long track, but it races a ton like Martinsville, and we've seen what happens when you go to Martinsville. A little bit more room than Martinsville, obviously, but same kind of situation. You can barrel off in the corner and very easily misjudge the person in front of you and end up shipping them into the fence, unfortunately.
Yeah, not only that, but you got, it's a flat track. You got multiple lanes that you can run, and you can run in that outside lane. You can run that, not outside lane, the middle lane. You can run the inside lane. You can run the apron. If any of you guys saw the eNASCAR Pro Coca-Cola Series last night, a lot of the drivers were, especially on those restarts, they were 3-4 wide at New Hampshire, and some of them paid the price, unfortunately, but they were able to kind of make it work in some cases. And I do see the drivers here are skilled enough to kind of be comfortable going multi-lane racing in New Hampshire, But then again, that adds the added risk of making a mistake, especially if you're in the middle or somewhere, or you got a big battle going on, and you forget where one of those drivers is. You might find yourself with an easy strike right there.
Absolutely, and if you want to see, it sounds very weird, but with the NASCAR weekend coming up this weekend at Loudon, the best race of the weekend from all the locals is to watch the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour run. They constantly are running 3 wide around Loudon.
That's a super speedway race.
For them, it's a super speedway race, and if you want to see the multi-groove in action, and even the Cup guys have mentioned this, they learn a lot from the local NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour at Loudon on how to run the place, because they put on a clinic for 100 laps, and it's a great race to watch. Look it up on YouTube sometime. And hopefully next week with the Sim Racers Club being there, we can put on just as good of a show.
Yeah, a lot of the drivers will have a chance to hone their skills during the weekly iRacing races, and it'll help them out for sure. Oh, wait, no. This week is... Wait.
Yes, this week the weekly iRacing series are at Loudon.
Well, after today, they're going to have a couple days to practice for Wednesday. That's for sure. The point still applies.
Absolutely. As the pace car ducks off in the pit road, the leader looks for the green flag. Green flag is out. Scott Eckrich on the outside this time with a big jump over Greg Evans.
Yeah, I saw him choosing that outside lane. Was a little strange, but nonetheless, the results are still the same. As actually, this probably made it a little bit easier for Greg Evans, as he's now single file and won't have to contend with third place, kind of trying to give him a run for his money, as he's all nice and clear here. 23 laps to go. Next time by 22. As I got the hiccups again, I apologize. Scott Eckrich pulling off and doing a great job. Now, I do want to kind of quickly take a look. What happened to the 63? Johnny Avila, well, he's currently right now in 4th, and, say what you want, he's not leading this race right now. But what happened to him really worked out for him, as he's now up front, near the front, I should say, and he's running that outside line to perfection. I'm not seeing any... Never mind, I spoke too soon. There's a little bit of a crinkle there. The temperature is down, and I think at this point, we're at the later stages of the sunset. It's entirely possible the sun's already down. But Johnny Avila doing a good job of what you said, making lemons into lemonade.
Absolutely, as we see him battle with the number 88 of Thomas George for the 3rd spot. Kind of interesting to see Scott Eckrich take the outside to give Greg Evans a clear shot at the bottom going into turn 1. I honestly think he's trying to play head games, trying to maybe get in Greg's head a little bit. He honestly might be trying to keep the 63 of Johnny Avila back as well.
Yep, and I think Johnny Avila is still not necessarily fully comfortable with what line he wants to run with. I think he wants to run that outside line, but I think with the fresher tires, it's not quite available yet. We saw him teasing it a little bit earlier. He's kind of teasing it right now, at least in 3 and 4. But in turns 1 and 2 last time by, he chose to stick with what the majority of the field was doing and run that inside line. And I guess you can see why right there, as Michael Krobach has got into his inside. All like basic physics kind of tells us that 63 should have gotten the advantage off the exit of the corner, but I just think right now the tires need to wear in a little bit more for that outside line to work in, and I'm sure that Johnny is figuring that out slowly.
High, wide, and handsome is the name of the game for the 63, and he's showed in race number 1 he can make it work. He showed marching up through the field with fresh tires, the outside is the way to go, and he's trying to make it work now, as he's trying to reel back in the 88 of Thomas George, as you saw him easily fight off the number 72 of Michael Krobach.
Yeah, he has. He needs to make sure that he cannot make any mistakes, because when he was nailing those outside lines in race number 1, he did a great job of actually reeling in and even getting himself to a possible position to battle for the lead. But then we saw him kind of make a couple mistakes, trying to push it a little bit too far, and that's where you saw him really lose time. So that outside line is high risk, high reward.
Absolutely, as we see the field starting to tighten up just a little bit more as we close in on 17 laps to go. More and more drivers now starting to inch their way to the top. We see Thomas George now going through turns 1 and 2, just a little bit higher than the 63 as Johnny Avila worked down towards the bottom.
Single file for the majority of the field right now, although some of them are taking really different lines, so may not look single file, but they are all the way up to where we see Yosik and Troy Haight battling it out side by side. That's a little close there for me. We got some trap laughing there, number 15. That's the 15 of Grant Brown there. Has no front bumper, and unfortunately because of that, he's losing quite a bit of time.
Looked like Brian Yosik didn't want his white car to be white anymore, as he definitely made some contact with the 28 as they were trying to get around the 15 of Grant Brown. Yosik again showing that he's got race speed, just not qualifying speed right now.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Craig Evans currently right now trying to maybe do something with Scott Eckrich, but it's getting a little bit harder to do that. As the laps go on, the tires were wearing out. Right now, we did mention that the inside line will bog you down, but if you're single file and you're able to run that inside line, do it. But double file, that outside line will most certainly be the king where you want to go to, because there you can hold off that driver on the inside to try to run the full racetrack, and that'll find them kind of having to slow down to make that corner, as we saw. First place all the way to the bottom, second place towards the middle, third place a little bit higher than that, and fourth place Avila, he's up near the wall, as all these drivers in the top 4 are all running different lanes.
And this is what Scott Eckrich wants to see in his mirror, everyone trying to search for something behind him. And like Greg Evans said, it is a chess match with the air. And right now, the master is the 70 of Scott Eckrich, because he can do whatever he wants to hold them behind him. He can run the bottom, and if he wants to move up, he's going to hold them back.
Right now, Scott Eckrich, whatever he's doing, he's kind of pulling away from the rest of the field. He's noticeably running faster lap times. As a matter of fact, Michael Korlbach in 5th is actually running faster lap times than the 70. But of this top 4, he's outpacing them right now, and it's showing. That gap is getting bigger. Sorry, go on.
Clean air is the name of the game, and that's what it's showing, helping the 70 every lap as he inches further and further away as his competitors behind him, trying to find something to gain a little bit more of an advantage on him.
I think Avila is getting close to nailing that perfect line, as he's figuring some things out. In some cases it's working, in other cases he's losing some time, but I'm not seeing him kind of do the same thing back to back, as that right there was only, if anything, just a little bit faster than Thomas George, but the previous time it was a little bit slower, and it's a little weird, but he's actually gaining some time on the entry of the corner and then losing it on the exit. Not sure if that's because of the damage he has. As you see, the number 11 of Terry Seville, who was involved in an earlier incident there on the inside, so he gets by. But it's a little weird because, you know, I've tried to run the outside line in places before, and especially seeing professionals do it at Homestead. You don't really drive it in hard on the entry of the corner. You kind of back it off a little bit earlier than you would on the inside line. And then once you're able to full throttle it, and then kind of hope that you don't drift up. It just seems like whatever Avila is doing is kind of the opposite. He's kind of driving it hard, backing off late on the outside line, and then getting in the throttle possibly a little bit later than the rest of the field. That's why we're kind of seeing him gain time on the outside, on the entry of the corner, but then also lose a little bit of time on the exit of the corner, which is, you know, it's a little backwards, but you're seeing right there, Jordan, it's almost working, and that would also explain why we would be seeing him smack the outside wall on the entry of the corners.
Absolutely, and if you can get in your competitor's head just a little bit, if they think that they can drive it in a little bit further, you can make them make a mistake, and if you don't pound it off the wall, you might be able to get a really good run on the outside of him, as we see Johnny get to the outside, great quarter panel of the 88 of Thomas George, and that's what he's trying to do right there, is contact as he squeezes up into the wall.
Oh, I gotta put the blame on the 88 on that one for sure. as Avila's race is pretty much done right there. Same thing with the 80 Thomas George. I think at this point with 8 laps to go, Avila should not have backed off, and he did not. And Thomas George, not sure if he did not hear his spotter or his spotter didn't turn on or chose to ignore it. But I think that one would be put up. He would be put to blame there. As I say that, but at the same time, I'm not the ones that's out there racing. But Jordan, that's just a bit of bad luck there for the 63. He did everything he should have been doing, and unfortunately, that high risk, high reward did not work out for him.
No, it did not. Split-second decisions and split-second actions. The 88 thought he might have had a little bit enough time, but as we saw, he just did not. And big gain out of that goes to the 72 of Michael Krobach as he went from 5th to now 3rd place.
Good job to the 72, and he's got the 2 right there in front of him. Unfortunately, though, for anybody who isn't Scott Eckrich, this is looking like it's you're kind of locked into where you are. You may not be able to do anything else. Scott Eckrich has kind of have the field under check, and with this kind of racing package we have now, Clean Air is king, like you mentioned. You can't really do much. Greg Evans probably won't be able to even sniff the lead unless the 72 wants to work with him. And how do you do that? These drivers do have the ability to talk to each other, but with 5 laps to go in the heat of the moment, it's really hard for you to work up a plan if you're the number 2, because would the 72 even be willing to work with you? Because I don't know. It's always a hard thing to do, and you kind of have to approach this with the mindset of maybe a super speedway race, just in a way where you kind of have to be willing to work with people who may not be your teammates, even at the late end of the race. And Jordan, it's a little hard, but the only way Greg Evans is going to have a chance to pass Scott Eckrich is if he can convince Krobach to help him.
Absolutely, and that's what you got to try to do. It's the chess match that Greg mentioned before. You got to try to make as many friends as physically possible, and when the white flag comes out, well, friendships go out the window.
And the white flag is going to be coming out here very, very soon. So we have 3 laps to go here. Michael Krobach is actually a little bit faster than the 2. I see some rear end damage there for that 2. But if Krobach is making an attempt to pass the 2, then that's just going to hand over the win to Scott Eckrich, unless we get a late caution, which we almost did. But these drivers were able to, with a lot of skill or with some skill and a lot of luck, were able to avoid fully spinning around. Not bashing anyone, but in iRacing, you kind of have to get a little bit of a luck to go your way to not spin these cars out.
Yeah, absolutely. When you start bouncing off the wall, you're kind of in the Sims hands at that point, and they would be definitely very lucky they didn't cause a caution as we're coming through turn 3 and 4 to pick up the white flag this time by.
Barney's got that white flag in his hand, and he's going to get ready to stiff arm wave that flag as he's waving it hard right now. White flag for the number 70 is Scott Eckrich. Greg Evans right behind him. Michael Krobach in 3rd. Not sure anything can happen, but Greg Evans, he's trying. He's trying for sure. That last lap, he was actually a little bit faster. But I just think it's too little too late, and he can't do anything because the closer he gets, the harder it is for that vehicle to turn, as we're going to get off of turns number 4 and cross the checkered flag. Victory goes to the number 70, Scott Eckrich. Greg Evans 2nd, Michael Krobach 3rd, Brian Yosek finishes in 4th, and Drew Carroll will be getting the top 5 finish.
Once again, another dominant performance from the number 70 of Scott Eckrich. He proved that the clean air is king. Once again, as like you said, Greg Evans was just a little bit faster towards the end of the race, just couldn't get the clean air to make a move to get the arrow off the nose.
Pardon me, as my voice is blown out. A well-fought victory for the number 70s. He's going to tear it down on the field right now. Going to get ready to do his burnout. Let's go ahead and listen in. Wow, he has amazing burnout skills.
That's identical to the last burnout. He's got to do something different next time.
You're going to give it a little bit of that old razzle-dazzle. Going to turn that jazz meter up to a 10. Because Jordan Harnish is not impressed right now with the number 70 of Scott Eckrich. Let's quickly go over the field. We're going to take a very small break as we can set up our interviews, and then we're going to talk to some of these drivers and maybe an extra person I kind of going to get a quick word with. Yeah, let's go here through the final race results. So you saw number 70 get that victory there. Scott Eckrich, great job. Second place will be Greg Evans. Michael Krobach finishing in third. Brian Yazik finishes tonight's race in fourth. Drew Carroll fifth. Great turnaround from the previous race. Johnny Avila has a sixth place finish, but I'm sure he may have a couple choice words after the end of tonight. Adam Jersky finishing in seventh. Troy Haight eighth. Thomas George in ninth. Will Wursler finishing in a nice top 10 finish.
John Eckert brings it home 11th. Richard Fletcher with a really good finish for him, finishing P12. Mark Myers in 13th. Corey Benton in 14th. Kevin Stone 15th. Tyler Seville finishes 16th, 1 lap down. Grant Brown also 1 lap down, finishes 17th. AJ Digby with the early incident finishes 18th. Gordon Digby right behind AJ in 19th. And Woody Mahan finishes 20th after his wreck.
Todd Kirkwood finishing in 21st. Alan Young 22nd. Jeff Ward will be finishing 23rd after an early incident. And Tim Knott finishing tonight's race in last 24th place. So actually, we may not even need to go on a break. Whereas we got the first interview here going on. And I actually want to get a quick word with your sixth place finisher, Johnny Avila. So let me see if I can quickly catch him before he leaves. And Johnny Avila is out there here on the chat. Let me move him on up to the waiting room and then get a quick word with the man himself. And Johnny, you got a copy, my friend?
I hear you.
Johnny, unfortunately, we were on board with you when that happened. I just wanted to, get a quick word with you because you're pretty much the only person out here that was running that line, the outside line, and at least to my point of view, you were kind of running it backwards to how a normal person would be approaching running the outside lane. Usually, when you're running the outside lane, you back off early, you wait till you have the grip, and then you mash on the gas and just ride the wall. But you're kind of the opposite. You were waiting in late, driving in there deep on the outside lane, and it was kind of hurting your drive off a little bit, but you were making it work there until, unfortunately, the 88 kind of came up into you and kind of ruined whatever chances you had. But just how did you figure out, how were you able to figure out that was the way to approach that line?
I did some practicing, and I noticed that if you're right up on the wall, the car gets a little loose, and I could use more throttle, so it would wear out my rear tires a bit more. So going into the corners, I could just send it, and the car would just yaw out, and I could just hook it all the way around the rim. It's unfortunate that we're racing for a top 5 there, and then a guy just sort of puts me in the wall there at the end.
Yeah, we're not going to go into any, at least we won't be going into any details about that. You're free to talk about what you wish, but yeah, it's unfortunately a shame. I would have loved to see if you could have done anything, because you're the only one doing that. And I'm sure some people tried it, and I just don't think that they kind of had the information you had, because what you just told me, it's everybody knows now, or at least if there was a third race, then we'd be seeing pretty much everybody running that outside lane. But I just don't think they were able to do what you tried to do, because you were the only one out there making it work. And unfortunate for you, finishing in 6th place, still a top 10. But other than that, how was the rest of your night?
It was a lot of fun. In that first race, when we had that long run, as soon as the tires really start to wear out, that's when riding up on the wall is the most fun. It was a blast. Even this race right there, just as soon as we get a long run and I can make that top side work, it's a blast. Just feathering it, kind of touching the wall, guiding it. It was a lot of fun tonight.
Did anybody kind of even during the race ask you how you were making that outside lane work?
Nah, some of the guys that I practiced with, they tried it out, but I think it's just more of my aggressive nature entering the corner that kind of makes it work.
For sure. I'm sure anybody that was probably trying that kind of tried it with the more traditional back off early and then mash the gas. I don't think anybody had the had the testicular fortitude to possibly just drive it in there deep on the outside and make it work. Either way,
Man.
well, before we do let you go, do you have any shout outs you want to give out?
I just want to shout out you guys up in the booth. This race is going to be a lot of fun to watch back. And everybody that puts this league together, Sam and Jordan, put in a lot of work week in and week out. So it's been a lot of fun each week.
Oh, thank you so much. We wish you good luck, and hopefully the next race in New Hampshire will go a lot easier for you, although I don't think that outside lane will work for you there.
I can try it.
You sure can. All right, that was your sixth place finisher, Johnny Avila. I just really wanted to get a quick word with him. But Jordan Harnish, I think you have caught up with third place Michael Krobach. Jordan, take it away.
Michael Krobach finishing P3. I believe this is your best finish of the year. Tell us a little bit about your night.
Yeah, Jordan, we got back-to-back top fives on the night. First of the year, we hadn't finished better than like 6th or 7th all year, so I'm really stoked to be in the top 5 both nights. I studied Scott a lot in practice just to see what he was doing with the line, with throttle, with managing the air. We did a few runs where we were racing hard with each other just to see how the air would react, and I think that's probably the most practice I've put in all year for a race, and it definitely paid off tonight. The 72 car was just ripping the top. On the long run, we didn't really have good short run speed, but once the tires wore off a little bit, I think we were saving enough, and just ran up to the front from 15th this race. But I think we might have had something for Scott, but the dirty air, it's just really hard to pass.
Yeah, we saw that all night long. The only driver that we saw was able to make any moves was a 63, obviously, after he had fresh tires on lap 20. Definitely a great run for you, though, from 15th, as you mentioned. Having Scott as a teammate, or a sort of teammate, I guess I should say, is definitely going to help pay dividends to you. Anyone you'd like to thank from your finish tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank the whole Loud Pedal Motorsports and Graphics LC team for putting in the practice and just running together, sharing notes, sharing setup stuff, strategy. And I got to thank all the sponsors here. Thumbs Up, Cancer Down, HPP Simulation, Clipping That Apex, Sim Racing Merch, Host Venom, Midwest Simulations and Spotlights, Sim Racing Apps, CJ Automotive, Amsoil by Adam Blattle, Splash and Go Graphics, and the whole team and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Well, congratulations on your top 3 finish, and hopefully we get to talk to you again very soon here in the 3Y TVD booth.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Loudon, and I think we might got a good shot there for another top 5.
All right, that was your third place finisher, Michael Krobach. And I'm catching up here with Greg Evans, who has just walked away from his vehicle. Greg, how was your race tonight?
Oh man, we had a good night. Not considering the first race. We had a good round and kind of learned a lot just from watching everybody in the first race, and was able to kind of transfer it over for a second place tonight.
I got to give your team props. They were able to fully repair a wrecked race car just in time for the second race and be able to have it be competitive enough for a podium finish there in second. Unfortunately, you were right in the terms of you're kind of going to be needing a stroke of good luck and some help to get you to pass for the lead. As we were talking about, I think the only way you had a chance of winning would be if you somehow convinced Krobach to just push you to the lead, which of course probably wasn't going to happen with a couple laps remaining. But Greg Evans, what did you learn here for tonight that you can maybe take away for a future race?
Man, honestly, not a whole lot. I don't really think. I mean, I really wish iRacing would fix something to where we could. I don't know. It's just so aero tight. I had to run a different line than Scott, or try to get in the corner quicker, or doing all kinds of stuff to even have a chance. But I mean, I just never really got that close. The only time I got close is whenever Thomas was pushing me there for a little bit. But with the way the aero package works, Thomas couldn't stay close for like half a lap. And it's just so frustrating. You don't know what to do. You try to run a different line, but you don't. The bottom is where everybody wanted to be. Was the preferred line. It was quicker, and you could run the top line and kind of stay with somebody, but it just wasn't enough. So, I'm really looking forward to New Hampshire. Hopefully, hope to God that's not an aero track, but you never know with iRacing, so we'll see.
That's the high horsepower package, low aero.
Oh man, I'm already excited. You just made my night.
Yeah. Yeah. That's New Hampshire. If it's anything based on what we saw the professional esports players racers do, it's gonna be a fun and exciting night filled with a bunch of multiple lane racing and some car control. So that's gonna be fun. Either way, before we let you go, Greg, do you have any shout outs you want to give out?
Yeah, man, definitely. I think Hacksaw PC, Maverick Custom, or Maverick Concepts, iRacing iFlag, Carolina SimWorks. Oh my gosh, from Steel Horse Racing. Just thank all those guys, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you so much, Greg. We wish you good luck, and we'll see you next week at hopefully a very fun racetrack for you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Well, before we go on and talk to your race winner, I do want to have a quick word with Thomas George. Thomas, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh, it's been a rough night.
Yeah, unfortunately, I saw you in the infield care center, and we just had to send somebody to talk to you. Unfortunately, it looks like the production truck sent me to talk to you. Had to run my way out to catch you. Hopefully, you're in much better shape than I am, because I am almost out of breath. Thomas George, unfortunately, finishing tonight's race in 9th place. How was your night overall?
Well, I think I should have won the first race, even though Scott had the better car. I had the pit stop to get off pit road, and lo and behold, somebody had to stay out and no tires and damage, and then proceed to say, I'm going to try and stay out of the way, instead of going down to pit road, which if you put me in control of the restart, I could probably win that race, because if you're the control car with this god-awful aero package that NASCAR thinks is so great, you basically control the race, and it forces you to make moves that you don't want to make. So, and then you got guys chopping my nose. I had my nose chopped twice in the first race, and then this one I made contact with the 63, and he's planning to blame me, but he didn't go look at the replay. As he's coming down, I'm coming up, and it's just a racing deal. And my replay shows a little bit of net code, but that's still what it is. It's iRacing, but it's just this package is. I don't know who the higher ups of NASCAR, what they're smoking or what they're drinking, but this package is just god awful. I don't know who thought this was a great car, because you go watch the real racing and they spread out just as they always did with high horsepower back in, not even 3 years ago. So we had a fast car both races. Just this package is just, it takes away one type of skill for another, and quite frankly, I think NASCAR should be ashamed of themselves, but they won't be. We'll see what the Gen 7 brings, but if the rumors of, the safety of that car aren't exactly good, they'll probably end up killing a driver and then be like, oh, it's okay. So,
well, you kind of said what they're probably doing. They're out there smoking and drinking. They're not out there driving. They're not out there racing. So that's why they're so out of touch. Unfortunate night for you. You probably could have had a lot better finishing results than what you had, but. Well, before we let you go, do you have any shout-outs you want to give out?
You guys in the booth, and Jordan and Sam for getting this together. And, I like racing everybody, and a lot of people are good, but the way it just tempers are going to flare for a little bit with this car, and then maybe they'll cool off. I mean, it's just... Everybody's a pretty good racer, but tonight's just one of those nights where decisions were made that shouldn't have probably been made. But it is what it is. On to next week.
All right, well, we wish you good luck onto that New Hampshire next week. All right, and looks like we're going to be catching up with tonight's race winner, Scott Eckrich, and Jordan Harnish has him queued up as we're going to cue in the music.
Resident Alien round number 2, Scott Eckrich. Same outcome. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, oh geez, tonight's rough. The errors, it's king. I felt bad about putting the dirty air on everybody, but I don't know. I know it looks more exciting with everybody around us like that, but Jeez, it's pretty difficult to deal with that stuff out there.
Yeah, that seems to be the general complaint from everybody, that this aero package just isn't fun, really fun for anybody, although you seem to have it figured out pretty well. 2 wins tonight. I believe that brings you up to at least 7, maybe even 8 for the year.
9 according to Dan Lisa.
Yeah, no, I can't count. That's okay. So, do you have anyone you want to thank for round number 2?
Yep, same people, Mark with graphics, LC Motorsports, and the LPM boys for always providing those practice sessions before. They always help get us up to speed. So, and then you guys and Sam for the league. So,
now before we let you go, what's your take on New Hampshire? What do you think about going into there?
jeez, I don't even know. It's been so long since I raced there. Normally, it's a pretty good short track's pretty good for me, but I know Jeff is killer good at New Hampshire, so Jeff Ward will be looking to race him.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your 2 wins tonight, and good luck next week as we roll into New Hampshire.
Yep, thank you.
All right, and that's gonna kind of do it for us here tonight. And Jordan, you are 2 for 2 now here tonight, finishing your second races. You have, unless my math is incorrect, you have doubled your broadcasting experience here. How was both of your races overall tonight?
Man, I had a blast. I appreciate you inviting me in tonight. I'm glad I could help out. Hope everything's well with Peter. Looking forward to getting back in the admin booth next week, but I'm always here if you need me.
Well, I'm glad to have you for a partner here tonight. It would have been a lot scarier if it was just me all alone. I've been a little out of touch in the broadcasting game since I'm no longer commentating on Mondays. But that being said, couldn't have a better person to work with here tonight. And, well, don't take this the wrong way, but hopefully we never have to bring you on board. But should we ever need to, I'm glad to know that you're, for sure, the person we want pinch hitting.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
That's gonna do it for us tonight. Join us next week, same time, but at a different place here in New Hampshire. It's gonna be fun, as hopefully the winner isn't allergic to lobster, because I heard that's the trophy. Wish you good luck, guys. See you next time, and as Peter would say, see ya!